大田区戦隊特撮 UU のこの番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
What the
Okay.
kanji stands for.
It stands for sponsors. The kanji stands for sponsors.
Sponsored by what? Us?
Sponsor. Yeah, it's either sponsor or creators. I don't remember what I put there.
Okurishimasu. We love that so much.
Okurishimasu. Hi
Nothing
everyone,
fucking
by the way.
beats the little... Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay, the little Jason in the corner. Oh man. But
That's
hello
like
everyone.
everything.
Welcome to TokusatsuWu, which is a podcast talking about Tokusatsu and all things related to the adaptations of Tokusatsu as well, mainly in America obviously because where the country does it, but America. My name is Dom Dinh, otherwise known as Dinzie. I'm one of your hosts, alongside, of course, the illustrious. I am pointing the right way.
I don't know
Chris
what...
Hamasu,
Yeah, no, you got
aka
it.
HamaSamaKun.
Hello, I do things on places and stuff.
He does do things on places and or stuff. But yeah, no. So today we're talking about Power Ranger Samurai versus Samurai Sentai Shinkenger. Which
A+ shit. Samurai Sentai Shinkenger.
it's good shit. We'll talk about it more. But for backstory about this podcast, we're gonna be firstly going through the Neo Saban era of Power Rangers and going on from there, and then we might retroactively go back and see the actual good seasons of Power Rangers
true.
versus the Sentai. But yeah, I mean, firstly, how are we doing today, Chris? How are we doing? How are we feeling?
All things considered, a little bit tired, but I'm more than happy to ignore all of my assignments to talk about Power Rangers on the internet with you, my friend.
I am so ready. But
I've been
yeah.
looking forward to this specific project for as long as we've had it be a thing.
I know, yeah. I mean, like because for backstory, Chris and I have known each other for what, like 6 years by now.
Like something like that.
Something like that. And like I think our mutual love of Tokusatsu, it's always been there, but we haven't really like let it come to the forefront until now. Which I'm quite excited about because we have a lot of opinions on the same shows. And it's
Yes, we do.
we're gonna roast the shit out of Samurai today. Power Rangers.
This
by the way, not
entire
Shinkenger.
episode 1 is just gonna be like an hour and a half of us going bit by bit and being like, this is why this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Cannot wait. So for reference sake, we're referring to Power Ranger Samurai as simply Samurai, and then Samurai Shinkenger as Shinkenger. So Samurai Shinkenger. Just so then that's clear for everybody as we dive into this show, this podcast today. So I don't know how to approach this at the start because all right.
We could go general thoughts first, or do we want to go episode by episode? Because I already have a few thoughts.
Let's go general thoughts first, and then episode by episode. Because I feel like that's the best. How's the term? Condensed way to give out our feelings on each show. So let's talk about Shinkenger first because I feel like it's a good build up.
Yeah, no, we start positive and then we just slowly decline into madness. But
exactly.
Yeah, no, Shinkenger is like probably one of the most solid Toku shows I've had the pleasure of watching because everything works and it just kind of is a story beyond people in spandex fighting monsters. There's like an actual plot that like you would imagine would be some sort of like historical drama, if not, Sentai.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think it's one of like the best Sentai at least. Just for the fact that everything like each episode serves a purpose, even if it feels like filler, like it's a purposeful show and everything melds together in like, this really weird way that like makes sure every character for one has character development, which I am so grateful for, including like some of the wackier characters like Genta, for example, who is the Samurai Gold. Um, but yeah, no, it's just like it is so it's so well done. I don't know how else to say it. Like you care about every single every single ranger on there, from the like, not from the get-go, but, like, in the first, like if you care about everyone in the first, like, maybe 5 episodes, then you've done your job.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think just in general, they do a good job of humanizing what is in essence like character archetypes because you have the stoic leader that's always going to be, the red, and then you have blue who's, second in command, kind of does their own thing.
Mm.
Then you got like green who's usually either wacky or
The
fucking
wild card.
yeah, or a wild card. Then you have the yellow who's like very like calm and just soft for lack of a better term.
Kind of
And then
reserved,
you got
yeah.
yeah, and then you got pink, which is, the traditionally feminine one, but, like, they kinda subvert those expectations that you have for these characters by, giving them flaws or, like, certain desires that may not always align with what you would think that they would, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, like, especially, it's hard for me to say, like, I mean, it's easy in a way because I've said this to you how much I love the Yellow Ranger, Hanari Kotoha. She has a lot to do with mental health actually and the effects of it, which I think is
Mhm.
brilliantly done in this show because there's always this feeling of not feeling enough to the task, and that's something that is generational, like, not feeling enough, which I thought, like, Shinkenger does, like, really well, but other than that, like, every character hits so differently in their own unique ways, and it's so good. Like, everyone has a purpose, everyone has their role to play, but at the same time, um, making this team together, everyone isn't flawless, and so their flaws are what make them, like, a strong team, I think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think yeah, no, I think Konoha might be one of my favorite characters. Second maybe to probably, the red, I guess I fuck. Trying to remember what his name was.
The leader of Shinkenger?
Yeah,
Takeru!
something Shiba Takeru, yeah.
Shiba Takeru.
I like,
Yeah.
just that idea of, like, on the offset, he's this, very strong-willed leader, but then later on in the season, you realize, like, "Oh, this guy's not even supposed to be the leader, he's just here to
Yeah.
basically die."
Spoilers, by the way, spoilers.
Oh, sorry about that. I mean,
No, I mean,
I
I
don't
already
know
gave
why
away the
you're
Gold
listening to this
Ranger.
if
Yeah, if you haven't, like, watched Shinkenger yet, I mean, I still encourage you to, even with that spoiler, because, like, there's so much leading up to it, and I think it's even better on a rewatch, because, like,
honestly, yeah,
yo,
you start catching, like, things
you
that you
start
wouldn't
catching the little
normally.
and I love the little details they put in there to, like, foreshadow, because it's like, "Oh my god, this happened, and this happened." It's like, oh, and yeah, I mean, there's so much Japanese influence in there because it's so traditional, right? Like,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
in the theme song that we just heard then, and sorry if you're watching the VOD, by the way, because, I'm putting in, replacement music there just so then we avoid copyright strikes, but basically Shinkenger's theme is all about Japanese spirits. Like, that is intrinsically in the lyrics. Like, it is
It
very
is
much
literally one of the lyrics.
it's one of the lyrics. It's such a Japanese show, and even if you are a foreigner, like, if you're from another country, if you're gaijin, right? Like, I think that you can still appreciate so much of it, and you can learn a lot of Japanese sensibility, I think, in this show, which
Mm.
is because it's kind of hard to say that in other Sentai because they're quite, like, they're quite focused on the one theme, but because Shinkenger is all about samurai, it is very Japanese because, samurai have been within Japanese culture for fucking centuries. So, yeah.
Quite literally. I think it does a really good job of indulging in, its cultural heritage and origins while not being like alienating to somebody who may not know. Cuz they don't treat the audience like they're stupid. They're like, here's some
Exactly.
context as to why this is the way it is. It's not like, and then this happened. All right,
Because
bye.
of this, yeah. And yeah, everything just makes sense, even if you're I think it's a weeb's dream. Let's be real. Shinkenger is
It
a weeb's
really
dream.
is.
Because as soon as you come into the show, it is so, again, like, extremely Japanese, and it feels like you're watching just like another, like, anime, for example. It feels like an anime, like, because
Honestly, yeah, it does. I think if they animated this season, it would be a pretty solid fucking show. I mean, it is
I
a
wouldn't even
solid show, but like,
yeah, on its own, it's already a solid show, but like you throw in an animation in there, it's like it's instantly a classic for a lot of people, which I find is kind of which in terms of tokusatsu in general, a lot of people sleep on it because Power Rangers in America and stuff, and they're
mhm.
like, oh, what, this is just a kids show compared to the more nuanced takes of anime, even if it's more traditionally towards kids, right? I think
Yeah.
that tokusatsu in general, like I love it when they're veering towards serious topics and serious themes, because like it's the creme de la creme when they do it right. Like it's so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and yeah, but now we're after gushing about Shinkenger, we must talk about its bastard child, um,
Bastard offspring,
bastard offspring
shitty
slash
piece of crap.
clone. It is
Quite literally,
the imperfect clone of Shinkenger. Um,
it's it's one of those fucking sci-fi movies where it's like, we've cloned an entire sheep, and it's like fucking two-headed. One is like drooping to
it's
the
kind of
side, and
fucked
part of
up,
it's
like
melting. Yeah, it's like, what the
yeah,
fuck is that thing?
yeah, pretty
It's like it's still
much.
recognizable as a sheep, I guess, but like it's not a fucking.
It's just
Oh
it's not
god.
cohesive, you know what I mean? By the way, thank you
Yeah.
for the follow, Rivi. I'm sorry I couldn't pronounce your
Oh,
name
hey,
there.
Ruby. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Rivi. Thank you so much for the follow. But yeah, no. So context for people. Obviously, Power Rangers has been in America since the 1990s, compared to Super Sentai, which has been there since 70s or 80s or something like that. It's been there
Around then.
a very long time. So Power Rangers was originally owned by Saban, and then eventually the rights got to Disney around the mid sorry early
That was around
2000s.
like Wild Force, I think.
Around it was Wild Force, yeah. It was a very weird season because they had to do a changeover. But then it went on for a few years, and then we ended the Disney era with Power Rangers RPM, which I cannot wait to talk about on the show, by the way, because
It's so solid
I'm
too.
getting
Like,
my boyfriend to watch it tomorrow or
please
tonight,
do.
whenever he
Please
comes.
do.
But yeah, so that's when the Disney era ended, and it was meant to be the end of Power Rangers in general.
Hmm.
Until basically Saban decided to buy back the rights of Power Rangers, and that is how we got Power Rangers Samurai, which is essentially like a reboot of Saban in the Power Rangers continuity and era.
But like somehow worse.
It's
I
somehow a lot worse. I don't know how they fucked it up. Like they
Because like
by
the early Saban seasons are iconic, but then it just feels like they're parroting themselves, you know?
yeah, because I feel like they try to adjust for the modern kid era, which is not what you need, because as kids, we loved these early shows because they were still gritty, yet they appealed to kids because like they weren't taking themselves like, appealing to kids. They took themselves as if this was their mission, and like it didn't feel like they were talking down to the audience, right? And by
Yeah.
all accounts, this should have been a good season. And in some ways it is. Like I will admit that. But like by all accounts it should have been great because we had Jonathan Zator as producer, who did things like Time Force, Lightspeed Rescue, like all the
Time
old
Force
ones.
was so good too.
It was
How did
so
this
good. And I don't know how this happened because, like, I think maybe the time away from Power Rangers kind of got away from a lot of the producers, and they kind of lost sight. Because
Hmm.
essentially what Samurai is and every Power Ranger season kind of does this in where it tries to adapt source material. Like Time Force is an adaptation of Time Ranger, but like they do it in a very good way, where they still incorporate plot points, but they're not one to one. Samurai is essentially a one to one, shot for shot remake of Shinkenger.
quite literally. I
It's
It's unbelievable how much of that show is just the other show, but like
pretty
tweaked ever so slightly so that it no longer makes any sense.
exactly. Because again, Power Rangers has always like it's always like hailed multiculturalism and having a lot of different types of rangers of different races. But when you're adapting a very Japanese show, how exactly do you do that with a multicultural cast?
She's one Japanese person. That's all I'm asking for. There were
They
none. No Japanese people.
There's one Japanese person, and that was the Pink Ranger.
I don't think she was Japanese.
She was Japanese.
Like,
No,
I need to fucking look this up.
I saw a fact on the PR wiki saying her name was Mia Watanabe because her driver's license in one shot had her full name Mia Watanabe. So she is Japanese.
The
only one.
The character is Japanese, but I don't think the actress
is.
Her name is Erica Fong, for those of you who don't know.
She's
I'm
like
she's Chinese. 90% fucking sure she's Chinese.
Fong is absolutely Chinese,
Oh
but
my
the
God.
character is Japanese. But other than that, no Japanese person. They wouldn't even go near a fucking piece of sushi like this show. Like it oh my
Wasn't
gosh.
that a fucking episode? They wouldn't go near a piece of fish.
Yeah, it was because they were adapting again Shinkenger. Which again we'll go through episode by episode because sometimes it's stupid.
You'll get the context for what it is we're talking about, but the biggest point of contention for Dom and me is just that it's just the same show, but it doesn't make any sense anymore. It's just
it's whitewashing
copy paste.
Let's be real. Like it has white savior narrative all over it. Like
it really does.
Yeah,
Jaden
like,
Shiba, your favorite, definitely Japanese, not like from the middle of Oklahoma motherfucker.
Oh,
who's
God.
like.
So Jaden is the Red Ranger of this season. And he's the leader of the Samurai Rangers.
The whitest motherfucker I've ever seen it in my life.
The whitest motherfucker. And apparently there's been generations of samurai since they were in Japan. Which I'm like, how? They're white as hell. With the exception of Kevin, because obviously he's the Blue Ranger and he's African American. But it's like, how did these descend like properly? And it brings up so many plot holes as well about what constitutes a samurai, which Shinkenger flattened out perfectly. But with samurai, like it feels like the only point of contention is if you have trained as a samurai, then you are a samurai. If you have had the proper training, then you are a samurai. Which
that was their biggest point that they made in the season. It wasn't like it's not you weren't born into this, like this is not your family's like fight.
Yeah.
This is you didn't spend 5 minutes doing calisthenics with us in the morning, so you can't be a samurai.
No, you can't be a samurai.
Anyway, Jaden, come here, whitest man I've ever seen in my life. Would you like to hold the samurai sword?
Because in Shinkenger, it's flattened out so well because it's definitely like you're born into this and you have no other choice. Whereas with samurai, it feels like, well, to a certain extent, you're forced into this, but like somewhere along the way, your family got trained into this, so you're okay. Which is so stupid. And
it's so strange in the fact that like it might have worked if the main guy was Japanese. Like, give me a fucking Asian Red Ranger, I swear to God. But
I can't think of one. That's the thing. Like, it's so hard for me to think of an Asian Red Ranger.
I'm thinking so hard.
Like
none that I can wait.
No. Look, none that are like visually like 100% Asian. Like there may be some Asian in their heritage, like family-wise. Other than that, I've never seen a Red Ranger in main continuity that is explicitly Asian. Because I say main continuity because Hyperforce technically has an Asian Red Ranger, which is
I'm counting that only for my own sanity.
I'm counting it for my own sanity as well. Shout out to Peter Sidarso who plays Adrian as the Red Ranger in Hyperforce because
he's also an actual Power Ranger, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, he's an actual Power Ranger, which is fucking great. But anyways, and that's the thing about Jaden, by the way, going back to Jaden, because everyone like says his name is Jaden Shiba, but then there was an interview with Alex Hartman, which really fucking confused me because like he basically said, "Oh yeah, like Shiba was the name that the fans gave me because we lived in the Shiba house." And so, but I'm like, but you're the leader of the samurai, and if you're in the Shiba house, because that's what the name is, right? The Shiba house,
Yeah, they call it
you
Shiba
would be a
House.
Shiba, right? Why the fuck
Yeah,
would you just
no.
name it a Shiba house?
If why do you live in the Shiba house if your name's not Shiba?
Exactly. And
It's like I'm living in the Jackson house. Oh, by the way, that's not my last name. I don't know who the fuck these people are. We bought this on Craigslist.
pretty much.
I can't.
There's
That's
a
like
lot,
some basic ass understanding of what you're fucking adapting type shit. That is not
pretty
like,
much. No,
ooh,
oh,
you know,
even with
those fans
that,
are smart.
translation wise, right? Like we have Mentor G.
Mm.
You fucking, For context, for those who don't speak Japanese or don't have an understanding of Japanese, G in Japanese means old man, Ji-chan. So in
Master old man.
it's literally mentor old man. They could, I think they thought that
G was his name.
that G was his name, and Gia was his name. Oh, um, but yeah, because I forgot what his actual name was in Shinkenger. Give me a second. I do want to actually refer to him by his name and not G.
He's
Hikoma.
just oh,
Hikoma.
yeah. He's just referred
Kusakabe.
to as G affectionately because, you know, he's
Yeah,
basically
because
raised this fucker.
yeah, pretty much. So they just said, no, his name is G. His name Mentor
I hate
G.
this. I hate it so much.
I when I heard them say Ji-chan, I'm like, Ji-chan, G, Mentor. Oh, you them fuckers. Like, bro.
Motherfucker.
The laziest fuckers, I swear to God. And you know what? That motherfucker ain't even Japanese. He's like, I'm pretty sure
I think
he's
he's
like,
Pacific Islander or
yeah,
like
he's Pacific
some.
Islander or like he's Maori. Like he's
I think
definitely like,
so.
he's definitely like kind of, because they shot in New Zealand, right? He's got to be like New
Yeah.
Zealander, like Kiwi. Like he looks Kiwi. Which I'm like, why is your name then G? G,
The
nandesu
thing,
ka?
like, you know, can, people can have names, I guess, that like, may mean something in a different language, but it's just one of those things where it's like,
Kira also
for a
kind.
fact they didn't adapt it because they were like, oh, this might be a clever little callback to the series. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, his name's definitely G. We'll go with that.
Kira also kind of means killer in Japanese, but that's another topic for another time.
I will fucking kill myself right here on camera.
But
Oh,
yeah,
that's a whole other fucking bag of
it's a
worms.
whole other story. But yeah, they dumbed down a lot of plot elements, which we'll go through when we're going episode by episode. They dumb it down for the American audience because they don't think that they can understand the nuanced things, which makes the show make a lot less sense. Um, it's making me fuck up my English just thinking about it. So let's talk about the very first episode of Shinkenger versus
All right,
Samurai.
so the very first episode of Shinkenger was called "The Gallant Appearance of the Five Samurai."
Thank you for actually writing the titles because I did not.
Oh, I just have it on Wikipedia, but
Easy.
for
Okay.
a basic plot layout, Jaden has been fuck. Shiba Takeru has been fighting the what are they?
The
Gedoshu,
Gedoshu.
which are essentially these monsters that kind of exist in this pseudo reality, I guess, for lack of a better term, called the Sanzu River.
Yeah,
Kind of
Sanzu River
exists where
it's a very Japanese concept of like
is essentially just a river of sadness.
Yeah, think
and
of
like
it like
pain.
I forgot. Think of it like the river Styx, but
Yeah,
Japanese.
yeah.
Yeah, the river Styx.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Bottom line,
keep
he's
on
just been
going.
fighting for a very long time by himself because I guess he just feels better that way, or he works alone. either way, he's encouraged by his retainer, who I'm just gonna call G as well,
Mhm.
to recruit his 4 vassals that will then aid him in his fight.
Yeah.
And the episode just kind of continues along that route. They
Yep.
group up, they transform, and then they fight. And then they enlarge their. That's another fucking thing. They're big. They're robots. Their mechs
Yeah.
are they're called origami in the fucking show because that's what they are. And in the other thing, it's just the folding Zord. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Either way, it's literally the same either way, so we only have to explain the plot once.
Yeah, pretty
But
much. Well, we
we'll
can
go
explain
just in
some
Shinkenger for
differences.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
obviously.
so Samurai, because Nick decides to fucking split the seasons apart and then episodes apart too. This was a two-parter for the introduction, which is stupid. So like basically it's literally shot for shot remake, but they pick and choose what stock footage they want to use, which is like it's so weird because they also don't do the same roll call in Samurai, because like they do the same roll call like actions, but they don't use that footage because it has like
Has the banners behind
it
them.
has the banners behind them, and they don't use the banners in Samurai because they don't adapt the Kuroko, which again I
I
think is stupid.
miss them so much. They
I
were
miss
the
them so.
best.
They were the best. There's costumes of the Kuroko on eBay.
I might just dress up as one because I think
Same.
it's funny. You start running around and like helping people out in really unnoticeable ways.
Yeah. Or I think it's was it a costume or was it a figure that looked just like a costume? I don't remember. But it's
I guess
very
it's
good.
not really a costume, so to speak, because that's
I
just
want that.
like those are the people who just kind of help around in like Japanese theater, I think. Like
Yeah,
that's how they
right. Yeah.
dress.
Yeah, pretty much. They're like Kuroko is like shadow. Yeah, the shadows.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
but yeah, so basically like and that's another thing that fucking annoys me. In Samurai, they use the samurizers, right? They don't use the shoulder phone prop. They don't use it at all, except for one character, which we'll talk about later, which really fucking gets on my nerves because I love the shoulder phone.
It's such a fucking cool concept, but like it's just a cell phone in this show.
It's just a cell phone. So they have all right. My iPhone. This is my iPhone. Imagine this is the Samuraizer. Literally, it's just like Samuraizer. Go Samurai. Ha. That's how it is in Samurai. In Shinkenger, I'm using my blade here because why not?
Yeah, of course.
It turns into a calligraphy brush, which makes so much more fucking sense when you're writing kanji. You go Shodophone, convert to calligraphy brush, Ipit Sojo.
It just sounds better in like
It's
every
so
conceivable
much
way.
better. It's so much fucking better.
It doesn't make sense why they wouldn't use it. Like you're still doing the fucking what they refer to as symbol power. Like, why not go all in? Why do this like halfway? Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, so so in Shinkenger they use this thing called mochikara, which is one sub that really fucking did it well in terms of translating it. They called it scriptomancy. Fucking
I like that.
is such a good term for it, right? I love that sub. I'll send it to you later.
Please do. I need to rewatch this show.
It's so good. But yeah, so they translate it as scriptomancy, which is really good. In Samurai, they just call it symbol power.
Doesn't mean anything at all. Symbol power is the most vague way of describing this in the history of man.
Literally, and symbol power like mochikara, scriptomancy is all about kanji. Again, this show is like intrinsically Japanese, and this is meant to like teach kids kanji, which I think is fucking awesome. Because it taught me kanji.
Really
now I know the kanji for
story.
fire. I know the kanji for heaven. I know all this shit
good
now.
Shit. We're learning is the thing.
Exactly. In Samurai, you don't learn shit.
You learn like maybe how to bastardize a symbol.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that the Power Rangers wiki for symbol power, it has an actual chart of all the kanji they used.
Oh, really? Like any American child will ever be able to replicate that shit having watched this show.
Yeah, pretty much. they have that so then they can actually translate for the filthy Americans because
I really
yeah,
love that.
it's fucking great. But yeah,
Do you think that children know that that's kanji, or they're like, these weird symbols, I have no idea what
I
it is?
I reckon it's just these are weird symbols. I don't understand. They refer to it as kanji so much, but I don't think they really like say that. Yeah, it's
Do
Japanese.
they ever refer to it as kanji in the show?
They do, yeah. I remember because when the other character with the actual Shoto phone comes in, one of the characters mocks the Green Ranger because like, oh, Mike has kanji issues. That was an actual line or something like that. Kanji
I
problems,
don't
kanji issues.
I don't
Um,
even understand how that, like
I don't know either. It's so stupid. They refer to it as kanji like a few times, but like they never say
we'll get to
kanji
that
is
episode, because I have
Japanese.
some words about, like, fucking Mike and his little thing, but
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
we can kind of compare characters with this opening episode. So you have Takeru Shiba, and then you have Jaden Shiba. Where I mean, character-wise, they're basically the same, except Jaden is annoying
Yeah,
and
no.
white.
Here's one thing I will say. Takeru, like at first I didn't understand what he was about. I was like, he's basically Jane Shiba, right? Or more like Jane Shiba is exactly like him. Where
Mhm.
Jaden fails, Takeru picks up because he actually becomes you can see that he actually has a bit of emotion in the early episodes. He shows it a lot more than Jaden does because Jaden is just a brute ass like
I'm
come
a
with me if
bad
you want
actor
to
too.
leave. Yeah, the actor as well. Like
Come with me. Do you want to become a samurai? Please follow me. Symbol
follow me.
power.
Yeah,
Appropriation.
Samurizer.
I hate it so much.
Horse.
You know,
Well, by the
before
way,
I
he also
learned what fucking Toku was, this was my favorite season, and then rewatching, I'm like, this is the worst fucking
this
thing in
was
the
your
world.
favorite season.
Okay, hear me out. I'm an Asian American. I grew up with very little representation. Didn't get it here, but at least I got to see the fucking swords. I was so... Hear me out. This is before I knew that a better show existed. But now I know the truth that this is just like the worst fucking carbon copy, like piece of garbage.
I'm glad you know now. But that gave me PTSD to when my boyfriend was like, "Oh yeah, I kind of like samurai." I'm like, "Get out, get out of my house.
We're over.
We're over."
You're dead to me.
You're dead to me. Oh god. But yeah, no. Episode 2, I have notes here. That's when they try the gatai. With their
Yeah.
origami. Which, but again, folding zords, fucking stupid. You say shit like kanji, you can't even or adapt origami. What the fuck? Anyways,
It's
so
dumb because most children in like some capacity know what that is.
yeah, exactly. Like you learn a bit about origami. It's always like a thing. Like, oh yeah, it's you fold paper. Why the fuck do you just call it folding zords then? It makes no sense. Um, but oh, and this pissed me off as well. So let's go back a little bit of a history lesson. This might be new to you as well, Chris. But basically, after RPM, Bandai of
Mhm.
America, or whoever was doing the toy manufacturing, decided to still kind of adapt Shinkenger into toys instead of having a full-fledged show. But when Neo Saban came back, they were like, hey, we already have the toys. So what they did was that they decided to fucking have new full suits for the Zords, which was called Mega or Super. It was the Mega
Mega
mode.
mode power? Is that what we're referring to right
The
now?
Mega mode. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Oh
completely new suits.
god.
So they had to film a whole new fucking cockpit for no reason. Because they had to have new suits
Why?
just for Zords, by the way. It exists nowhere else in this show but the Zords.
Is is this like a fucking tax write-off? Like what? Why?
Pretty much, because like there was no
Because
reason
they
for
got
them
the
to
new swords too.
There was
Their
no
swords would
reason.
transform.
Yes, there was no reason for them to refilm cockpit scenes. They could have just taken stock footage and gone a bit further, but no, they had to. They went through the effort of refilming cockpit scenes with these new suits, but then not bother with the rest of the show. Basically, like it's.
I always
Oh,
question why Mega Mode power was only a thing that happened
in
when they
America,
would
right?
never need it.
Yeah, and that too. Yeah, and it
You're
only
in the
happened in
giant
America.
robot. Who the fuck is fighting you?
who's seeing this except for yourselves, you know?
Why do you get more armor when you're safer?
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what? I like how it's basically just like it's super hardened and shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
Mega Mode is like pretty like it's pretty solid, metallic, right? Then why the fuck is your super mode using what's called the black box in the American version? Why is it just a piece of cloth?
It's just a fancy jacket.
It's just a
Little
fancy jacket.
cardigan.
You never explained that in your show, Samurai. I'm disappointed in you.
This brings me levels of pain that I can't.
Did not know you had before.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to deal with that.
Yep, you are. Next episode, we're going to episode 3, which is the Chiaki focus episode in Shinkenger. Also, but they adapted this for some reason. Like this was the first episode shown in America because Nick screwed up and didn't show the introduction episode. So they basically aired this episode as if it was an existing team.
Episode 1, yeah.
As
It's like
episode
we're
1.
best friends now. We learned to work together, and
We're chums
next week it's
now.
like, who the fuck are you people?
Yeah, so, by the way, I love how every single time Chiaki comes in and he's playing at the arcade, he's playing Tekken. I love that shit.
We love that.
We love that.
We do love it. He plays as the bear.
Yeah, and that he does play as the bear. Does Jesus Kuma? Yeah. Oh my god, I love that because I'm like, oh my god, he's playing Tekken 6. I fucking love that game. Like,
I enjoy that in like all the Toku shows that I've seen where they're like playing video games. It's usually Tekken.
it's
Like that
it's usually
shit just
Tekken.
shows up in Xaid.
Yeah, no, it's usually Tekken, or it's usually just the actual game, which I really appreciate. Cause like in live action stuff, like sometimes in anime you'll see like knockoff games because obviously they can't have it as product placement. Live action, they don't give a fuck. They'll just give like the actual like footage of Monster Hunter or something. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Honestly,
It's so
except
good.
for that, Love is Hard for an Otaku. That's an anime that actually straight up just paid to use like actual shit.
Yeah,
Like
which
they just play Monster
that's
Hunter.
what
I'm
I'm
like, what is
referencing. The
happening?
live action actually shows off Monster Hunter.
Oh, we love that. We love that show.
I
Anyway.
love Love is Hard for Otaku. I want to talk about it in another thing, but yeah, like we
Absolutely.
I have a lot of opinions.
I think
on that show.
we'll have like our own little episode about adapting anime, but
Yeah.
so in Japan, this episode is called an extermination skill contest. Not really sure what that has to do with anything.
Yeah.
And then we have the team unites as episode 3 in Samurai.
Which is stupid because it's just a mic focus episode. Why is it
Yeah,
called
I
Team
think
Unite?
so this is the episode where like you start to kind of see, because the other ones are very basic. They're formulaic. You know, they meet up, they team up. Other than the cockpit thing, it's basically the same episode. This one, you start to kind of get why adapting it without the cultural context starts to kind of make less sense.
Yeah.
Because in this episode, in Japan, in Shinkenger, Chiaki is he's falling behind because he doesn't practice the right like brushstroke to his specific kanji, which is really important in Japan. Whereas in America, he just sucks. He's like he
just fucked up.
He's
Yeah,
doing
like
every
horrible.
fucking possible way, but like it just doesn't work because I guess he's bad at it. I don't know.
Pretty much, yeah. Stroke order is very important in no matter if it's kanji, if it's hiragana, if it's katakana. Stroke order is very important, which I suck at stroke order. I keep forgetting like how I write. So that's why I'm very much like I want to text this because I can't do shit.
It matters so much that if you fuck it up even a little bit, it becomes unreadable. I learned that because while I was dating somebody who like knew kanji, and I had to do it for a specific short film, and when they came over to look at it, they're like, "What the fuck does that say?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Don't judge me."
They're like,
"I grew up on Power Rangers Samurai."
They're like, "God, he's Japanese, but he doesn't know shit."
Smack the fuck out of me right there.
Get the fuck out of here! Like,
either way, so this is a very like Green Ranger focused episode because I don't want to say both names, but they basically it just happens. Like things just sort of happen.
Yeah, and it also shows like a lot of what you have to do for dedication to be a samurai because you have to give up a lot of things. Whereas in Power Rangers Samurai, it doesn't. I don't know if that distinction is very clear enough because like, especially because fucking because Chiaki's friends go to the hospital, like, I'm pretty sure at one point. So it gives him more emotional stake. With
Yeah, that doesn't
Mike,
happen.
yeah, and Mike,
He's
he
just
kind
a dickhead.
he's just a dickhead, and he kind of just looks at them in the arcade, fucking like fucking playing on the games, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I must leave now for my home
I
planet."
wish that
Like,
was me. Honestly, that's a really good point. I didn't remember that, but yeah, there's actual stakes where it's like you can either be with your friend at this current moment, or you could go fight the thing that caused it. Whereas the other one is like, ah, man, I wanted to go to the arcade, but now I gotta
yeah.
go protect all of humanity.
Yeah, and he's also like, "Oh, I had to stay away from." I think at some point it was like, "Oh, I had to like keep my distance from my family and friends," which like in Shinkenger, they kind of like never do that because there's a lot of family members that show up. I'm quite
Yeah,
confused. I'm quite
because like
confused.
it's not like a leave your family forever thing. It's like
Yeah,
it's like you're being recruited to do this because it's your responsibility as part of this
yeah,
family.
and for the most part, each family member understands that because they were Shinkenger, so they know. You know, they were
Yeah.
samurai, so they understand. But yeah, so that's why again, adaptation in Power Rangers, it's so much weaker than Shinkenger. For
Unbelievably so.
very yeah. Anyways, what is episode 4 in Shinkenger? Because
Uh,
I apparently missed this episode, and I don't know if I went back to it.
we have Nightly Tears of Sympathy in Japanese, and in English, Deal with a Nylock, which is the baseball episode, in case you didn't know that. Uh, in essence,
Oh,
in this episode, the Shinkengers look for a young boy after a what they
I
call an
rem-
Ayakashi in this one,
I remember
eludes
this.
them,
Yeah.
and then it goes to go make a deal with this child so that he gives up his he gives up baseball because that's the most important thing to him, and
To to get back his
that's
grandma,
just their
right?
plan. I believe so.
Yeah, I
Hold
remember
on.
this
You
because
can keep talking while I read through
I
this
remember
because I
I
don't
saw a
fully
clip of
remember it.
this because the kid at some point jumps off a roof because the Ayakashi like compels
Yeah,
him
to
to
get
do
his
so. So
grandfather back. It
his
promises his
grandfather.
grandfather back
Yeah,
if he gives up baseball, which is super important to him.
yeah. And
Also,
this
it's
kid
really strangely super important to Japan too.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
just in
baseball.
general.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
But yeah, so like this kid jumps off a roof, and then all of a sudden you see in the like the background as the Shinkenger are watching him jump off, that he's just fucking slumped on the floor, like fucking dead almost. I'm like, that's fucking funny. I need to hang on. I need to find this. Hang on. I need to find this and show it on stream because it's fucking hilarious. Hang on. Shinkenger. I'm sorry if you guys are hearing typing, by the way, because Opera decided to reset and now it has the typing sounds and it gets on my nerves. Um, and funny moments. We're gonna watch this together, stream. Shinkenger moments I laughed at. Let me share my screen as well. Oh god, it's just doing things now. I'm sharing this on
Things
my
are just
screen as well.
happening.
So we're gonna be. Hang on, unfortunately, shit is a bit fucky wucky right now. But I'm gonna show it
Oh boy.
in Chris's
Yep,
things. But you can see
there
this,
I
right?
am. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can see it.
I'm showing this in Chris's cam right now, just because it's the easiest way. Um, hang on, wait. I just realized that the system is not pulling up now. We'll only watch this for a little bit because again, copyright things.
決めたんだろ早くやれ何を
And this is
Can I just
this
say
is
that I
quite a-
love the fucking design of the monster?
It's so good, right?
Yeah, no, like they're always really solid.
Very good costume design.
Oh, here's another fucking thing. That thing in his hands is a fucking damn it, I forgot what it's called. But that's like a little like a
you see that
talisman, so
shit?
to speak.
Yeah, it's a talisman. It's a protective talisman. Hang on. So he jumps off,
Yeah.
right?
Slumped over. Just vibing.
He's fucking dead.
Oh
my
no!
god. Oh no.
Dead as
Whatever.
fuck.
Dead as fuck. It was fucking hilarious when I saw that. So that was what that was. So I appreciate people for bearing
Anyway, in
with
the
us for
English
that.
version, and as opposed to a
Yeah.
omamori, that's what it's called. An omamori, it's just a
Momori, yeah.
baseball keychain.
What the
I don't
fuck?
really know what to do with that, but like I just wanted
I
to
don't know
bring
what
it
to do
up
with that
because
information
stupid.
either. Yeah, that's fucking stupid. We're gonna like rapid fire through these as well, by the way, unless there's something we really want to talk about in each episode, because I remember episodes I was really passionate about, I fucking ranted off. So episode 5, what is that one?
Kabuto Origami. In the other one, it's called Day Off. Basically, the Red Ranger
Yeah.
gets the Kabuto disc and trains while the others go and do their thing. It's a very red centric episode in both, but it's really just one of those things where I prefer the Japanese just because it's acted a lot better.
Yeah, no, it's a lot more well acted. And I
This
but
is one of
I
those few things where it's like it works, I guess. It's just
yeah.
one of those things. It's more of a preference in this specific scenario as opposed to it
Mm.
being like, oh, this straight up makes no sense.
Pretty much. And I wrote here, I was really excited about Takeru's character arc and development because I thought like
Mhm.
his dedication was unparalleled. And when you like compare that to why he's doing it, it makes it all the more heartbreaking. Whereas with Jaden's arc, it makes no sense.
I don't really think he has one. It's
He
just
doesn't have an
a
arc.
watered down version of Takeru.
Yeah,
He's
pretty much.
just kind of doing things.
Mm. Episode
We'll get
6.
to that when we get to it, though.
Yeah.
The Abusive King, and the other one is Sticks and Stones. Basically, this is the episode with the monster that insults you, and then
And
you
you
take
hurts
actual
you.
damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved this episode because it is a focus episode for the Yellow Ranger, aka Hanari Hanari Kotoha.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, you got
Kotoha.
it.
Yeah.
We'll just
Um
use their
Kot-
surnames.
yeah, Kotoha. No, Kotoha is the first name.
Her first name. Fuck.
Yeah. Come on, Chris. You're
I don't know
Japanese.
how. I don't know
You
what the
should know
word surname means. Give me a break.
family name, okay? Family name.
Fuck. Whatever.
Anyways, Kotaha. This is a focus episode for Kotaha, and I love it because it talks about mental illness and putting oneself down often is unhealthy. And I always have to have my friends tell me, no, stop saying that you're a dumbass, okay? You're not a dumbass, you're very smart. And I think it was very heartbreaking how Kotaha was like, oh, I'm used to it. Like, it's
Yeah,
fine.
that shit hurted.
It hurted, and it's so relatable for adults, which I think was great for Shinkenger because adults are gonna be watching sometimes because they want to check in on their kids and see what they're watching, and I think like they can relate to it a lot.
Yeah,
So much to the
absolutely.
point where not gonna lie, I did kind of cry because I'm like, what the hell? No, like don't do this to yourself, boo boo. I was great episode.
I just
In
enjoy that it
Samurai,
like doesn't hold anything back either. It's
yeah,
like you're gonna fucking die alone type shit. It's not
yeah,
even like
pretty
you're
much,
dumb. This one is
yeah.
just
And this
oh my
arc is
god, it's crazy.
consistent too. This arc is consistent throughout Shinkenger for the Yellow Ranger, and I appreciate that so much. Samurai,
The monster just calls them dumb, and she's like, I
yeah,
was bullied when I was younger. It's like, does that affect you in any way?
yeah,
No. Cool. Moving on.
hey, which is stupid because she also is supposed to have her own arc, but she doesn't. So very
Nobody has
watered
an
down
arc in
again.
this fucking
No one has an arc. Episode 7. This is one of my
marlin
the fishing.
fishing versus a fish out of water, where the blue I'm just gonna say ranger
Yeah,
so it's easier to understand, but the blue ranger is sent off to go find the Kajiki Origami, or the swordfish Zord, that was sighted off the coast.
yeah,
And there's a monster that poisons the team, and the only way to solve that is by getting the Kajiki.
yeah. The
And
swordfish. Yeah,
then they
yeah.
do a fight, and that's about it.
It's pretty bog standard, but yeah, I love this idea of like I don't know why this is consistent in tokusatsu shows, but I love the fact that there is this idea that mecha are just out there in the ecosystem. Like
Yeah,
I
they are part of the world.
they are part of the world and you can just fucking go fish for one apparently. Like no
It's the
problem.
funniest thing because you got like monsters hiding in fucking mountains, and like, do you want to go ride one of the 15 tiger robots that are just out in the world now?
Pretty much. It's so funny. I really enjoyed this episode just because it's just kind of ridiculous, but it's a great focus episode for Blue. For Ryunosuke, because yeah, he he also meets someone here that ends up coming back to encourage him. Um,
Mm.
which I think was like, again, creme de la creme. It was a great way to circle that arc.
I think a big thing for me for this episode is the fact that Yunosuke's like whole sort of story arc is this idea of like, becoming independent because as good as he is at what he does, he's also very reliant on the orders of Takeru or like the orders
Yeah.
of G or like whoever his immediate superior is. But this one, it's like you have to do this on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the other one, he's just a bitch and does his thing and nothing happens.
Yep, pretty much.
Fuck this
But
guy.
yeah,
Fuck Kevin.
episode. Fuck Kevin. The actor's great, by the way. I actually really do like him as a person, as a character. No.
I'm sorry that you got a character that was. I'm sure you're a person in real.
Yeah, I'm sure he's a great person in real life. But acting wise, he wasn't given enough, and I'm very sorry.
Really
for
was
that,
not
'cause
given anything to work
He
with.
wasn't given anything.
After that is the brides are spirited away in Japan, and then we got There Go Brides in America, which
I will
is
say,
just
I
the
love that
episode where
episode
they're
title.
stealing brides.
I do
There Go
love
the
that
Brides, or
episode
the brides are
title. There
spirited
goes the
away.
brides. Yeah. Yeah, I love this concept of Spirited Away, but I think in America, this idea of being spirited away isn't as prevalent because there's just not that ideal, because I think they just said,
Yeah.
oh, they're being kidnapped, instead of being, oh, they're being spirited away, which is a very
Yeah,
much like spirit centric.
There's like a very small, minute difference between the two,
yeah.
but like more or less it works either way. Because one is
Yeah.
like very spiritual. It's like, oh, they've been whisked off somewhere to go have an adventure or die, really, one of the
Yeah.
two. And the other one is like, oh yeah, no, they chloroformed Stephanie and threw her in the back of a van, and now the monsters are driving down the street.
Pretty much, yeah. It's fucking funny. I just realized.
So
that,
anyway, that's what happens in the episode.
Yeah. I just realized I'm gonna have to talk about this at the end, but shit to do with the Sanzu River again, because I forgot to talk about it in the episode 1. I'll talk about it at the end. Because at least the idea of the Sanzu River will come back consistently, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, episode 9. This one, I had a lot to say about it because this is the episode where Master G decides to suck Jaden's dick.
Is this the tiger one?
This is the one where Ryu with the Blue Ranger gets
Oh
possessed.
yeah, I don't know why it's called the Tiger's Rebellion.
I don't remember either.
Oh no! He got the tiger
The
sword.
tiger sword? Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
in this one.
Yeah.
But the main like point of this was the fight between the blue and the red.
Yeah,
Which
and
like it was okay in America and it's good in Japan, but that's just because they shut the fuck up when they're fighting.
yeah, pretty
I don't know where to
much.
put this in it, but we're gonna say it now. They
They
talk
never
way
shut
too much.
up. Oh my
Oh my
god. It's
God.
like they think American kids, if you don't hear them talking, then your TV must be broken. Like,
Yeah,
essentially.
it's like, we paid for the speakers. We're gonna use every fucking second of them.
Pretty much, yeah. And by the way, like when I said Mentor G sucks Jane's dick, I mean like on compliments. So in Shinkenger,
He does it physically. He physically sucks him off in the episode.
Yeah. So in Shinkenger, basically it is a sparring match between red and blue, and everyone is like, oh man, like blue is like quite good, and even G in Shinkenger, Hikoma, even he's like, yeah, no, blue's like pretty good. But like you'll see that the technique of red, like it's not all about technique; it's about pure like willpower. That was the whole thing in Shinkenger. But because yeah, G-chan actually acknowledges Ryunosuke's power. In Samurai, Mentor G decides to just be like, you don't get it, guys. Jaden's a fucking goat. He's more powerful and his technique combined. And everyone is like, no, Kevin's actually pretty good. No, Kevin's good. I was talking about Kevin. I wasn't talking about Jaden, because he's like, yes, Jaden is the best.
Jaden is the greatest. I have seen he has a 10-inch dick. He can lift mountains. He can talk to dolphins and shit. Man, I'd love to be him. It's like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah, it's like, because even with Hikoma, like I'll refer to him as G-chan, and then G, I'll just refer to as G. G-chan, like, I like how he actually acknowledges every single samurai's power because he understands that as their retainers, they need to be as strong as Takeru. But in Samurai, it seems like he's like, nope, Jaden is the best. Nope, you guys suck. Fucking aspire to be like him. Instead of being like, yeah, no, you guys have great strides, but you have room for improvement if you want to continue serving Takeru.
It's one of those things where it's also like it makes sense in the sense that like Takeru's been training since he was like a little boy, and this one is like you might have gotten some form of training, but you've only been called into it right now.
Yeah, exactly. So he has experience fighting against the Gedoshi, for example, like for a long time, which I think is great. Episode 11 and 12 was another red focus arc for Takeru and Shinkenger. I don't know if that adapted into America.
11 and 12.
Yes, all I said was goddamn Takeru has great emotional range.
Yeah. Anyway, so before that, episode 10, Great Sky Combination versus Force for the Trees. That's just the episode where they find out that they can make Daitenku, which is this huge fucking bird made out of a shark. Or no, wait, the swordfish, the tiger, and the beetle.
Yes,
And it's cool as fuck, and I love it. But
I love all the
one
mecha.
big difference in this one is like the Green Ranger's motivations, right?
Mhm.
For Japan, right? Chiaki, you kind of start to understand a bit more because in an earlier episode, he had to give up his like seeing his friends who are about to fucking die.
Yeah,
And like has full on devoted himself to training, getting better in this part of the show. So when it's given to Mako, it's like a fucking slight to him, and it's like this is fucking
Yeah.
mine. Whereas the other one is just like he's just being a fucking needy dick.
he's being a douchebag.
That's about as far as I
yeah.
got. Yeah, he's
Pretty
like,
much,
this
yeah.
is mine because you mean to me. And it's like,
Me.
fuck you, die,
Die, bitch.
just perish.
Oh man, but yeah, episode 13. I said lesbian because like there's a point where Kotoha was like, oh man, I'd want to marry her. Like I don't want to marry Mako. Which I was like, or like I really like her or something. I was like lesbian, but no. I like that concept for the
13
monster.
is lesbian.
That's all I wrote for my note. No, I actually wrote also, I loved the concept for the monster in episode 13 because it was the most yokai-like. Which makes sense because the Gedoshu are based off of yokai. Or more like, in context, in universe, I think Chiaki says at one point, oh, like, yokai were based off of the Gedoshu. And I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
that's fucking cool.
Because the Gedoshu are essentially like, I think what they are collectively, the monsters themselves in the show are called Ayakashi, which is like Japanese for phantom.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure where that goes culturally, but that's just what I have picked up from this.
Yeah.
Also, somewhere around there, Decker shows up.
That's right.
Who is
Oh my
named
god.
something
yes.
else.
Decker. Oh man.
Fuck, where is it?
I feel like Decker was the only good characters, and even that's a stretch.
Juzo. Fuwa Juzo.
Juzo. Yep, that's the Shinkenger.
Who is the coolest fucking villain I've ever seen.
So cool.
Anyway, that's that. Also, like, we can get into the motivations now, or like when the episode actually comes up. But essentially, in America, Decker is just some dude who got fucked by a deal with the devil, or with Master Xandrid, and he was married to Dayu. In this one, they're not married; they barely know each other. But his whole mission in life is to get the greatest fucking fight he can, because that's what he died wanting.
Essentially, it's like he wants the one final fight because that's what gets his rocks off. Essentially,
Yeah, basically.
Which
Though
I think
really
is great.
Cool. I think a really cool narrative device is the fact that like that fight will never happen.
Yeah,
like he gets it, and then later on he's like, I was not fulfilled by that. I'm just
not
gonna keep
satisfied.
Fighting.
Yeah, which is like, oh, that really encapsulates like, yo, your quest for
you're like
enlightenment,
broken. Like,
it's never gonna happen. Yeah, you're broken as fuck. Which is why you're half Gedoshu, because like
absolutely. I think you see why he like descended into this
Mm,
essential personal hell because
yeah,
of like shortcomings of himself. It's not like I died in a house fire, so
yeah.
now I'm fighting because some guy told me to. It's like
Essentially, yeah.
it's unbelievably dumb.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing about because again, this really good sub that I was watching of Shinkenger decides to translate Gedoshu as corrupted ones. I will
Mm,
fall to corruption, which makes so much
yeah.
sense for a lot of things. And it's often not a personal choice, but it's their own descent into madness rather than making deals with the devil, which I think was great.
Yeah.
I think it shows that anyone can this can happen to anyone. Samurai, they just say, yeah, make a deal with the devil, and that kind of shit.
Oh,
Oh
you're one of us now. Whatever the fuck we're
yeah.
called. I don't know what we're called in the like Mooger. No, those are
No,
the
that's the
footmen.
foot soldiers. Yeah, that's foot
What the
soldiers.
fuck are they called in this? They're just
I don't remember.
monster or some shit.
I don't remember. No, they have an actual name.
Nylock.
Nylock, right? Of course, yeah, because we said that in an early episode. Yeah, Nylock.
Okay, you know what? Nylock, not a bad
It's
name.
not a bad name.
Doesn't mean anything, but
Doesn't
it
hit as
sounds
well, but
cool.
yeah, Nylock is cool.
I just like
Um,
the hard consonant of K, just like Nylock.
yeah, Nylock.
But that makes
Yeah.
it sound like vaguely European or like Irish.
Yeah, it really
know?
does. Yeah, but yeah, no, that's what I don't enjoy about the samurai because like they make it sound like the Nylock are more a group rather than actually being hell essentially, like because that
Yeah.
is what the Sansi River is. Which again, I don't know why they decided to fucking use the Sansi River in Samurai. I mean, obviously they had to because of the fucking stock footage, but the fact that they explicitly say the Sansi River, it's like, what's the Sansi River? I don't
Please
know. What's the
explain
Sansi-
anytime in the show. Just give me
Anytime in the show,
anything.
give me anything. Nope.
It's like we're gonna overflow the world with the Sanzu River. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Give me
Yeah,
something.
give me
The other one,
something.
it's like, oh, these are like the tiers of every fucking like like these are just the tears of suffering that have just collected into this river, and if we cause enough of it, we'll fucking kill everyone. And
Yeah,
this
we'll
one is
fucking
just
flood the
like,
world. Yeah.
I don't know, just do something, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you tried stabbing a guy? Like, that might
Yeah.
work.
And it makes it, and yeah, the Sansi River meaning like all of that suffering is in the world, like it floods the world with suffering, which is a great metaphor as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, which yeah, again, like I still can't believe they did that. But anyways, back to episode 14 of Shinkenger, because
So we have
this is the
kind of like a
Gaijin
related
one.
one. Yeah,
This is the
well,
Gaijin episode.
13, right? They introduced the Gold Ranger just so we have that as
13. Oh, you
a
mean in
place.
Samurai?
Okay. In
In
yeah.
Sam,
Wait.
in
What the?
Genta doesn't get
Yeah.
in Shinkenger. So they didn't adapt every episode in Samurai. I need to put this out there. They didn't adapt every episode.
Oh, this is a Mako focused episode. Not super important.
Yeah, I'm assuming. Wait, I'm assuming you're looking at you're going through Samurai and then going to the Japanese one, right?
Yeah, in the episode 13 for Shinkenger is Heavy Cries. Episode 13 is Unexpected Arrival,
Okay,
which is where the
yeah,
Gold Ranger shows up. In this one,
yeah.
it's
They
Mako
put
goes out to buy groceries.
this all out of order. So some episodes
Oh, we love that.
some
Great.
episodes from early Shinkenger are adapted in Super Samurai. Which makes no sense.
Kuroko. I'm
Yeah.
trying so hard to find where this episode
This is why I went
is.
by. This is why I went
Here
by
we
Shinkenger
go.
because it's more complete. Yeah. So.
Episode 17.
Oh God. I want to talk
We
a
can
bit
go
more
through
about
the Gaijin episode.
I
Yeah.
want to go through the Gaijin episode and the rest of the Shinkenger episodes that did not get adapted because I think it's stupid or they only use fight footage
Richard
and I
Brown,
think it's stupid.
my favorite.
Richard Brown.
I fucking love it so much. I love him. As a comedy episode goes, like, this is funny.
It's up there. No, if I got a chance to dub this episode, I would call it the Way of the Weeaboo, because it's
oh my
like
god.
because Richard Brown is the best example of a gaijin, which means foreigner. By the way, going to Japan and expecting things to be easy like anime, and it's fucking infuriating, but it's also quite endearing, and especially when there's that scene where he has to sit Seiza style, which is basically, for those that don't know, I'm gonna try and replicate it, but it's like you have to kneel down like this on the floor with your feet like fucking the top of your feet
I've
sits on the ground.
watching you do this is the funniest thing to me.
I tried to replicate as best as possible. I could not do it. But Seiza style is a very hard way of sitting on the ground because you have to fucking essentially. It feels like you have to pull a ligament in your foot, in order for it to stay on the ground properly. And I think that's a great way. It hurts your knees a lot. I really need to stretch my legs, man.
By God, does it look cool?
Yeah, it does look cool. But yeah, I also wrote in my notes as the episode went on. Literally, this is verbatim, by the way. Okay, never mind. Brown is a fucking annoying stuck-up gaijin. I need that whole thing of I have nothing else to teach you would be a misunderstanding. But this guy, man, this guy might as well have been Master G in PR Samurai with how annoying he is. I hate it. Burn in hell, Brown. I also said he might as well have actually brought the understanding of samurai from Shinkenger and then decided to bring it to America and decide to make a show of it called Power Ranger Samurai.
Richard Brown is the one who made Power Ranger Samurai. It's confirmed.
Absolutely.
As like, I think as an episode goes, I had fun. Though Brown is something else.
Brown is really something else, but he's the
I
best
think I'm just
example
caught up
of
in
a
watching
stuck-
it be like, Magical Brown, Richard the Brown. I'm like, oh my God.
Richard Brown. It's so fucking funny, but it sets up a lot of things actually, because with the Gold Ranger as well, because like this shows a stark parallel between how they treat Brown versus how they treat an actual Japanese person who wants to be a samurai. Which I think is a great thing, and it's very much Japanese. In the way that they handle that, because yeah,
It
they
also
skipped that.
foreshadowed Samurai happening.
It did, yeah, it really did. Episode 15 in Shinkenger is the Imposter episode, which every Tokusatsu show needs to have an Imposter episode. Let's be real. And this is one of my favorite Imposter episodes I've ever seen in Sentai, and the main reason is because it focuses essentially on Chiaki and his relationship with the group. It basically the Gedosh, the Ayakashi in this one decides to disguise as Chiaki and wreak havoc and divide him from the group. By like doing pranks and stuff, not helping out in battle, that kind of shit. And it perfectly captures what it feels like when nobody believes in you, when nobody like thinks that you're actually being genuine. And I wrote, Chiaki's descent into sadness over his teammates giving up on him is something I'm glad they explore because it opens the room for them to trust him more and to give him more time. In Samurai, I did actually write this one. So they decided to use this imposter villain only as a battle footage for you. Are you ready to give me a drum roll, please? They use him as a Christmas villain.
What the fuck?
Because his color scheme is red and green, and so they decide to make him a Grinch.
I wanna die.
Yep, so it's a fucking Christmas villain. His fight doesn't even involve the Imposter Ranger arc. And it's all for a Christmas clip show, by the way. They only use this footage for a clip show Christmas.
I'm gonna kill myself right here.
It's the most infuriating thing I've ever seen.
Oh, hey. So I'm scrolling a little bit ahead in the wiki for Power Ranger Samurai. Guess what? We're gonna have to cover it. So, Clash of the Red Rangers, the movie.
I cannot wait for that. I'm doing that. At the
Oh, here
end.
it is. Christmas Together, Friends Forever. I think is what this is. Is this like
dumb.
Emily writes a fucking thing about like a letter home? And
No, that's not the Christmas episode, is it? That's not the same thing.
Well, it says Christmas special, Christmas Together, Friends Forever. Emily writes a letter home.
Oh, she writes a letter home. I thought she received a letter. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
No, writes a letter to her sister Serena by writing about their adventure and fun times. And
oh my God,
everyone opens their presents except Mike, feeling left. Does Mike not get anything? What the fuck?
I don't fucking know.
Oh,
but yeah.
Okay, Mike gets a green motocross bike.
It's so it's dumb. Anyways,
I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to do for us, but all right.
Let's keep on trucking through Shinkenger. So, episode 16, this talks about the Kuroko's integration into society, because the Kuroko in Shinkenger help out everywhere in society. They
Literally
help out in
do
the community.
everything that they're not doing.
Exactly. And I love it because it shows there's still people. And they explain like, yeah, no, they don't just serve the Shiba house. They serve everybody. Like they serve the community when they're out because it shows that they want to do things that the Shinkenger can't do when they're focusing on the Gedoshu.
Hmm.
And that's also it's a great explanation on why you never see civilians during monster fights because they're all
Because
being
they're being corralled
evacuated by the Kuroko.
That implies, right, that they're also doing this during other seasons.
Yeah, they're doing this through everything. If there is a monster fight happening, Kuroko are gonna be there to evacuate, which I think is fucking great.
I think another really interesting thing about this is like, yeah, it's a really good like comedy episode. It's good for world building, but it also kind of plays on this really interesting idea and like just sort of Asian culture of like having a very specific role that like you and only you can fulfill. And like, kind of veering away from that doesn't really always work out.
Yeah.
So it's
pretty
like,
much.
do what only you can do and do that well. Don't try to be somebody else, which is kind of what they try to do by being like, let's go do what they're doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they didn't have that episode in America because
Yeah.
fucking they don't exist.
Samurai never fucking did anything good with this idea of helping out the community because, why the fuck would they? Also, by the way, I am seeing a pattern of early Shinkenger footage being used in Super Samurai. This is like what I said in my notes. They keep using early Shinkenger footage in Super Samurai instead of starting out with Samurai because they use later because apparently they're using later Megazord footage in using
Why?
in adapting these. I don't know why. Like you could just not use later Megazord footage, but apparently basically the order of Shinkenger's mecha in Samurai is reversed in the order they get them to some aspect.
Because it goes because
I don't know.
beetle, fish, tiger,
Like
right?
in terms of the Zords, like they get them in the same order, but in terms of the Megazords, I think it's reversed.
Huh.
And I don't know why. Yeah, I screamed in my notes. I'm like, you could have literally just put this in the first Samurai season and not use later Megazord footage. You had 49 episodes to choose from, and you couldn't put them in order. I was
That
very
seems
upset
to be a
about it.
big thing with like Saban seasons where they'll just make the show and be like, does it matter what order we put this in a show that's already using like clips from a completely different one? Probably not.
Yeah, we're all
Hey,
good.
why does Jaden not have an arm in this clip? It's like, oh, he loses that in 2 episodes.
Pretty much. Episode 17 in Shinkenger
The Sushi
is
Samurai.
Sushi Samurai, which is the Gold Ranger.
We love that. We finally got here. Gold Ranger.
Which is episode 12 in Samurai, you said?
13. Unexpected Arrival. It basically follows the same beats, except Umemori Genta is a lot more likable.
Yep. Umemori Genta is a sushi. He runs a sushi
He's
cart.
like a fisherman.
Yeah.
Kinda.
No. He runs a sushi cart.
He's a sushi guy.
And Antonio is a fisherman.
Just some fisherman.
Just some fisherman, which it's an okay thing to adapt the suit because he has a fucking barracuda. As a sword.
I mean,
I'm like, okay.
I don't like as adaptations go. It's not bad.
It's not horrible. I mean, I think Antonio, I think he's one of the highlights of the season of Samurai because he's a lot better. He's a little bit more likable.
I'm pretty sure the actor's like Filipino, and they're like, you're gonna be Italian.
Oh my god, he is Filipino. Oh my.
Oh man, and then they have him going up and saying shit like, oh, Bobbity Boopy or some shit. There are no words that can accurately describe what I'm feeling about this. This is like the positive part of the show, by the way, is every scene he's in. It doesn't get any
better from here.
It really doesn't.
I'm just saying that now.
They introduce Antonio, and it's all downhill from there.
Yeah. Oh, also, I said in my notes the fact that Shinken Gold transforms with a fucking sushi. Sushi Shincha. Ikan Kecho.
I love it so much. And the other one is just another phone. Because why not?
Ikan Kencho, like apparently I in this other God, hang on, wait. In this other sub that I was talking about, which is a very good one, Ikan Kencho, is, I believe it's translated to, because Ipitsojo is Imperial Report. In the sub that I watched, it was Sushi Report.
Ah,
Ikan Kencho, which I'm like,
we love
that's
it.
dude, that's fucking funny.
It is.
Uh,
I think honestly, Genta might be one of my favorite characters just because of like
Yeah.
how hard he tries.
yeah. Oh, sorry. It
And
means consistent presentation. Which again, it's still the same thing as sushi. Yeah, sushi report. Yeah. Ikan Kensho.
I think there's a point to be made about how they adapted these two because they kept the core of his character the same. He
he's
is
a lot more
still the
obnoxious at the start in Shinkenger.
yeah, he I think it's because he's trying to overcompensate for the fact that like he wasn't born into this. And
Yeah.
he is a fisherman, which or not he's like a sushi
A
chef.
sushi chef.
I
Yeah, sushi chef.
Yeah, and like while that has its own merits and like you need training to do that,
I mean, he's
you're
not even a
not meant
particularly good one.
to he's running a cart. He's like not at a restaurant. He's like
Yeah.
personal stuff.
Mm.
I so badly wanted to fucking eat his food though. It looked so
It
good.
looks so good when he made this. Oh, especially like there's an episode that focuses on him actually being really good as a curry chef. His curry looked bomb, bro. Yo, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, oh yeah, Power Ranger Samurai, fucking cowards for not using the sushi changer. I'm just saying that now. Fucking
Fucking
cowards.
cowards. Why were all of their fucking like they're all just phones?
I know. It's just it makes no sense. They're just literally samurai. Oh, also the morphin in samurai is fucking
power.
stupid. Yeah, samurai morpher, gold power. Ha! Why?
I very strongly dislike the use of the of ha, and also that samuraiser was ever a thing that people said.
I know, but I just I don't know.
What the fuck does that? It's like accountant transformer or like fucking.
It's so it's so shit. But also I hate this across the board in Tokusatsu. I hate when the Sixth Ranger has a different call out usually because it completely disrupts henshin. So with so when you have contrasting things in Samurai where it's Samuraiser, Samurai Morpher, Gold Power instead of like Go Samurai or whatever,
it's the whole thing.
It's so frustrating. In Shinkenger, it's a lot more bearable because um it's like
At least it sounds nice.
Ipitsojo, Ikan Kencho, and then they don't say shit after that. It's just that. And I like it.
They're not like
it's okay.
talking about their life story right after transforming. Sometimes in the middle of the fucking thing, it's like
Emily.
Oh, we did it! We're transforming! Oh my god, guys! It's like I don't know what you're doing, but stop it.
Yeah. Next episode in Shinkenger, which is the same thing in Samurai, so we can talk about the same episode.
Promotion.
It is denying entry to the Gold Ranger into the Samurai.
Basically, except in Shinkenger, you know, there's an actual reason for it. It's like you're not meant to do this. You are
you're not actual
you're a
samurai.
sushi chef. You have no clan ties whatsoever to what we're doing. The other one is just like, we don't like you.
Yeah. And his
it's like I'm gonna and then he keeps his fucking morpher. The thing that he made. Yeah, G in
that's
Samurai
right. Yeah.
in Samurai. He's just like, I'm keeping this, by the way. It's like, fuck you, that's not yours.
I think in Shinkenger they do that to a certain extent as well, but it makes more sense because it's like, look, like we don't want you to get hurt. Instead of being like, I'm just gonna take this. It's fine now.
Yeah, it's like A, you don't have clan ties. B, you're not trained in the same way that we are.
Yeah.
And C, if you get hurt, we don't want that on us.
Exactly.
The other one is just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck
Option
you.
D also, like Genta is way more overbearing than Antonio. In the early parts of Shinkenger, which makes a lot of sense. That he would be denied entry into Shinkenger because you're not meant to be like outspoken or gold or shining or like that. You're meant to just follow your you're meant to be a vassal. You're meant to follow your leader. but it makes so much less sense for Antonio to be denied entry because he kind of just seems like he's like way too friendly, and he's just a little bit quirky. He might be a bit like anxious and stuff, but like all of the samurai get like that. So it makes a lot less sense for him to be denied entry in samurai for
One
various
of those things where
reasons.
like he has a better claim on being a Power Ranger than fucking Emily does.
Yeah, exactly. Because you saw the training montage. He goes in on it.
He
Which
trains so hard.
and
You know what? I'm mad about this. Antonio
yeah,
is like not that bad of a like I like
Antonio
him.
got cocked. Yeah,
There are
and
some parts of the show that I actually appreciate.
and
Antonio is
again,
the only part.
yeah, but again, he again, this whole thing about oh, you can't be a samurai because you didn't train in the proper way. It's like, but he's still trained, and like he is as good as, and he says this like, I'm just as good as you guys out there. You guys saw it. Like he's very
He
emotional
is
about it,
better
and I'm
than
like,
all of
he's
them
better
out
than
there.
them. He's fucking better than them. And it brings into question. They never bring up the fact that like, oh, well, we probably like our ancestors would have trained as samurai because that's how we're in this. Like that's how we're forced into this. Um, so it makes so much less sense. And it also makes no sense for Jaden to be like for him to reject Antonio, like to be like in the team because he doesn't want to seem like more emotional or less like a leader. Um, in Takeru in Takeru's case, he has to remain strong because he's like a feudal lord, right? So like
Yeah,
he
he's
shows
not allowed
emotion.
these like
Yeah,
highs.
yeah. So he's shown emotion every now and then. But like it's very subtle. But like he has to be like a lord, so he can't have like this childhood friend coming in and
Who's
having
like
him.
hanging out with him and
Yeah, for him to
them
it's
making
something
jokes
to
and
worry
shit.
about. It makes so much more sense for Takeru. Which yeah. Um,
I think it's just because of that. Again, I bring this up. It's just those small cultural details of being like feudal lord versus self-righteous dickhead.
yeah,
It's so small, but it starts to make sense because this one's like, I have a reputation to uphold, and I can't be also responsible for your safety because we're actually friends. This one's
yeah.
like, we're friends. You're better than everyone I'm working with. Nah,
Nah, you're all good. Nah,
just
nah,
nah.
nah. But I am glad that obviously the Gold Ranger decided like it was actually integrated into the team in the second episode because sometimes extra Rangers like they get like 2 or 3 episodes before they're actually in the team. Um,
Mm.
for example, Burai in Z Ranger back in the day because he was evil for a little bit.
Mm.
So yeah, that's where we're at with that. Episode 19 in Shinkenger is the bond between Ryu and Genta, which I really appreciate. It was also adapted in Samurai, I believe.
The Blue and the Gold, which was also an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, that's
Don't know
okay.
what that means, but I just thought I'd let you know.
Thank you. Um, but but yeah, no, it shows their dedication to the cause in different ways. Alongside
Hmm.
Ryu's strictness to his regime. Sorry, regimen, not regime, regimen.
Regime is a different thing.
It's a very different thing. But regimen,
But
because there's a method to the madness, whereas Kevin just seems like a righteous dickhead.
he
Um,
is just a righteous dickhead. He
yeah,
has like his little private training fucking thing that he won't share with anyone.
pretty
I
much.
think it's one of those strange things where like in Shinkenger, he's like, I'm good at what I do. I'm the best fighter around on this team currently.
Yeah,
But I need
yeah,
to know how to be like the cultural aspect of being a samurai, like what
exactly.
it means to be one. Versus
Which,
the other one is like, just be more like Kevin.
yeah, which
Don't know
again,
what that means, but
it ties in so well, right? Because like it shows the cultural differences between Richard Brown, who was a gaijin and came in, and like they're like, oh, we learned something about samurai from him, as opposed to a Japanese person, right, trying to be a samurai, because there's a very much a cultural structure and a hierarchy. Because as a sushi chef, he's by someone who owns a cart too, not a restaurant. His status is very low, and so for him to
Mhm.
try and go up into samurai, that's very unheard of. So that's why he tries to learn as much as he can about being a samurai. Whereas with Antonio, it's just be more like Kevin. Come on.
like fucking Kevin's a swimmer. What the fuck does like
What? Yeah,
If anything, I'd rather be Antonio. Like, fuck you,
yeah.
Kevin.
And that's the thing also,
So in the episode, it quotes it as like he won't accept Antonio as a true samurai and thinks he's just goofing around, which really doesn't mean anything.
yeah. In
It
Shinkenger, that makes a lot more sense because like I can't accept you as
Yeah,
a samurai because you're not like
you're
one,
not a samurai
you're not a
and
samurai.
you're flashy as fuck. So like,
Yeah, we're
I
not
ain't
having
touching
you.
that.
And also, Ryunosuke for his entire life, like even samurai aside, he's just been very high up in hierarchy. So it makes a lot more sense for him to be like, I can't do this because like he he's a kabuki actor, and
Hmm,
they're quite highly regarded. I think even as
I believe
performers.
so. Yeah,
Yeah,
they also have a very strict like lifestyle. I think.
exactly. Yeah, for you to give up, his there's an episode where he gives up, where he talks about giving up kabuki. And I'm like, that is very noble of him because he's giving up
No one's
one life
giving
for
up
another.
swimming.
He gave up so much instead of giving up swimming, because I could have been
Well,
in the
he's an Olympic
Olympics.
swimmer, right? He's
Yeah,
training for the Olympics happens a lot.
but here's
Like,
the thing:
fuck.
the Olympics happens every 4 fucking years. You can go back. Like Michael, like how old is Michael Phelps, for example? He keeps going back to fucking Olympics, right?
Just keeps getting
He
that
keeps
shit.
going back to Olympics. Let's see how old he is and the last Olympics he went to, because I'm fucking mad. All right, let me see. Michael Phelps, he's fucking 36 years old. He's still doing Olympics, okay? You can come back in 10 years, bro. You
And
can come
like
back.
this fucking fight against the Gadoshu or the Moogers or the
Yeah,
whatever, the Nylok, like this lasted like a year max.
pretty much. Like it's just
Like,
come on,
calm the
bro.
fuck down, Kevin.
Whereas with Ryunosuke like giving up Kabuki, it's like, I mean, like they explicitly say come back to us eventually. Which I'll talk about. We should talk about this in the focus episode, but I don't care. Like I
Yeah.
don't care. I want to talk about it now. Like you can come back to Kabuki any fucking time. Like, and there's a big dedication that I'll talk about it when we get to it. But yeah, episode 20. I said, don't beat yourself up, Gotoha. You deserve this birthday.
The Ebi Origami's transformation. Koto's soul gets stolen. Oh, this is the episode where they're considering like becoming Giroshu in order to go like get
Yeah,
her
and
soul back.
that's where Juso comes in as well.
Yeah, and he's the one who offers them that option. And
Yeah,
that's basically it until Genta
it's a good lore
to
episode.
yeah, it's cool. Like I appreciate it.
Yeah,
There's literally nothing written on 16 Team Spirit. It's basically the same plot.
same plot.
So
I don't give a shit. Let's move on.
just yeah.
Let's move on. Episode 21 is
Um,
Shinkenger. This is a Chiaki episode. Green Ranger.
the
episode.
father and son bears. This one.
This is the one where his father comes in, where his Chiaki's father comes in. I'm pretty sure.
Think so. Who the fuck is Mako? Oh, not
Mako?
returning the match into
What do you mean,
train
who the
instead.
fuck is Mako?
I got really confused for a second because I was used to
You
like
forget
seeing
names.
Shiraishi.
Yeah.
Chiaki manages to get everyone out but him and Mako, Kurando, and a mother with her baby. What?
Hmm.
Red eggs on their heads. The others deal with like
The red eggs like make them go nuts. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
remember this
it's
episode.
just another one of those like episodes, but it's fun because
It's fun.
it crosses over with Kamen Rider Decade in this episode.
I wished we saw more Kamen Rider Decade content in Shinkenger because we
I
got.
wish we saw more Kamen Rider Decade content. Period.
Well, yeah, no, we just got nothing because it makes complete sense for Kamen Rider, but like for anyone who's watching Shinkenger after the fact, they're like, who the fuck is Tsukasa? What the fuck is this? Like they wouldn't know as because like obviously at the time when you're watching Shinkenger in real time, you're watching Kamen Rider Decade as well because they're airing on the same airing the
Yeah,
same network,
superhero
airing
time.
around superhero time. They're airing around the same time. Like that's why it's great to cross over. But when you're watching Shinkenger on its own, it makes so little sense. Like it's just like
Who
who
the
are these
fuck?
fuckers? And then they don't
Where's
come
that little
back
crossover
in the next
episode? It's interesting though.
they
This
don't
is
come
true, they
back in
don't
the
come
next
back.
episode. Which I'm like, I got so frustrated over. I'm like, I want to watch this because I want to really like Decade because I haven't watched Decade at all. But like I wanted to be like, how does this end? Like just Genta lost his fucking origami and all of a sudden in the next episode he gets it back. I'm like, how?
Sir, sir, what the fuck?
And I was so confused, but yeah. Speaking of
There
next
was like a
episode,
little crossover episode where like Decade teams up with Takeru because a fucking Gidoshu steals the henshin device for the secondary rider, or technically a
right?
tertiary rider, the end. And he becomes this like pseudo Kamen Rider monster, and I'm like, that's so fucking cool.
It's so cool. I just there's so many good ideas.
So
I
cool.
love it. I love it. Anyways, yeah. This was a Kotaha slash Genta. Sorry, no, it was not Genta episode. It's just Kotaha. This one, in episode 22, Shinkenger, this is her struggling to verbalize what she truly wants, because like there's this dude that like asked to for him to be his fake bride, but he actually really likes her. And this Ayakashi preys on emotions and feelings.
My dog has elected to.
To join us for the
I'm
roasting
talking
session.
about Power Rangers. I'm talking about power. I'm not letting you out to go bark at the neighbor.
Oh, I
Why you
love
like
him.
this?
I love him.
Do you have more to say, sir?
Power Ranger Samurai is shit.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I agree. What do you...
Talking about Shinkenger? Oh man.
Talking about the Kotaha episode.
Yeah, Kotaha episode. But yeah, like she like she struggles to verbalize what she truly wants, which I think is great. Again, mental health thing. Instead of being
Mhm.
like a simple follower. And she has great quick thinking and remorse for breaking this dude's heart. Which by the way, her acting of slapping Takeru and being like, "You fucking idiot! I could have married a rich boy." Like, I love that for her. I'm like, I know it was an act, but how fucking funny. She literally says, "I almost got to marry a rich boy." I'm like, girl, go off. It was fucking funny. Oh
We
man,
love that.
we love that. But yeah, episode 23 was
Don't
more
know
shit
what
with
to-
Juzo, which I didn't write more
Yeah.
about it. I just thought it was a cool episode.
I think any episode with Juzo, just something about like this homeless Ronin basically just walking around fighting things is my favorite.
Yeah,
Just because like that's his sole purpose. He's not like trying to become human. He's not like trying to get his wife back or whatever the fuck.
pretty much, yeah.
He's just kind of doing things.
He's just doing shit. I like it. And
Trying to
I
be a
have
problem. That's about
I
it.
have to, yeah, I can't state this enough. Whenever I have like very little to say about an episode, like when I'm rapid firing through this, is because I think every episode in Shinkenger is solid. And I can't stress this enough. Whereas with Samurai, we barely need to talk about it except for a few differences because they're exactly the same. So I could be describing the entire plot of Shinkenger, and it would basically describe Samurai, but with a few differences. Basically,
I would say let's just. I think since for the sake of time, we should just go through all of Shinkenger and then we'll
yeah.
mention
go-
whatever we need to.
We'll mention whatever we need to, but essentially, like Shinkenger is like, let me put it this way: it's like Power Ranger Samurai Extended Edition, and actually good edition. It's like director's cut.
It's the Snyder cut of Power Rangers
Snyder
Samurai.
cut of Power Ranger Samurai. And I say this like perfectly, yeah. But anyways, episode 24. This was a Genta episode about his dedication to not only being a samurai, but dedication to his team. I forgot the entire plot of the episode. But
I can read it out. Entrusted with Inromaru after Takeru
the black
gave
box.
it to Jokan. Oh yeah.
This
prior
is
to
the
Shikari's
introduction
attack.
of the Inromaru. Yeah.
Yeah, he completes it, and then they fight someone.
Yeah.
Oh
so
yeah, this is like the big bad, like super fucking powerful monster. I think.
And that's
actually he just gets it. And
so for context, Inromaru is the upgrade for the Shinkengers in order to be in feudal mode or whatever. In Samurai, this is the Super Samurai thing. So
yep.
So they call it the black box in Samurai, which I'm like, okay, it is a black box. Could have been more creative with it, but
giving us anything, literally anything.
Yeah,
but okay.
but yeah, no, Genta like making sure to complete the Inromaru. Like again, in retrospect, I'm like, that's a lot of dedication and a lot of like, no, I have to finish this. I have to finish this, and like, it also shows how strong his Mochikara is. like, and that he deserves to be a samurai because he's like,
Yeah.
even though he
This is
can't
like
fucking
him
do,
proving himself.
like, he can't fucking do calligraphy, like he's doing texting to do kanji, which again, by the
I
way,
think that's the cutest thing.
by the way, great cultural aspect of like, oh, I can't fucking write kanji, but I can text it. I'm like, yo, that
My boy.
my boy. Whereas with fucking samurai, it's like, oh, I can I found a way to communicate instead of being like, oh yeah, no, I literally just like text the kanji. Like it's just no problem.
Text it, welcome
Just
to
text
the
it.
fucking 21st century, bitch.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was great. Episode 25. This was a kind of focus between Mako and Dayu. Dayu or
Yeah, we learn a little bit
Uzuyuki Dayu.
more.
We learn more about Dayu. In Samurai, she's married to Decker. In Shinkenger, she's not.
She's
She
just some dude, some
this
lady.
no, this bitch committed arson. At like a
Obsessed
committal
with a man
ceremony.
named Shinsa who spurned her for another. Usuyuki, which was her original name, crashed his wedding reception and set fire to the building, killing herself and everyone inside.
It's extremely dark.
Enraged that the dying Shinsa still favored his bride over her, Usuyuki pulled him to her, determined to have him be hers to death. As she, yeah, the guy that she liked turned into her shamisen.
Yep.
Anyway, she was reborn as Dayu, and they learned it's so much better in that, just because it fits within the themes of their narrative. I don't think Dayu's story is shitty, just comparatively speaking.
You mean in Samurai?
Yeah. Like in Samurai, the story is a thing. Like it works, I guess. Like
I'm
separately.
okay with them connecting it. Yeah.
It's very basic.
Yeah.
I guess.
Also, in Samurai, her original name was Dahlia. How'd you get Dayu?
Okay, I hate that. I hate that so much.
Yeah,
she was like the whitest lady I've seen. She's like,
she is white as hell, and I don't know how she got the name Dayu, because, bruh, that makes no sense. Because
it's just I don't know.
You know what she calls her fucking shamisen?
Harmonium.
Harmonium. It's so stupid.
I don't know what a harmonium is, but I'm pretty sure it's not that.
A harmonium is not a stringed instrument. It's a fucking keyboard. I don't know why they call it a harmonium.
What?
Yeah, it's a keyboard.
No. First of all, they also use a guitar in that clip. So
they do.
What the fuck is this instrument?
Why couldn't you just call it like a fucking a banjo or something? Like
banjo, please. Please. I would have loved that. I would have forgiven this whole show if they were like, "Oh, Dayu, pull out your instrument." It's like, "My banjo, you mean?" And it's like, ding, 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 it's like, what the fuck is happening?
I mean, I know they had to try and make it cooler for the American audience, like calling it like,
that doesn't,
an harmonium, but it doesn't make it any better. It's a
what child is like, I was on the fence about the show, but then they called it a harmonium. I was on board.
Bruh. but
either way, what I'm saying, right, is
it sets
like
up a lot
those
for
stories fit in their respective context, but I just like the other one better because it's more akin. It fits better. This one is just like a story.
Yeah, pretty much. And this sets up a lot between a rivalry between Pink and Dayu, which I really appreciate. I think it's really cool. And even in Samurai, they did that, which I'm okay with. I'm fine with. It was okay. It wasn't the best, but you know what? You established some shit.
Credit where credit is due. They adapted some aspects that weren't terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Deckers, I'm still very confused about.
Episode 26. This was Juzo
Decisive
v.
match
Takeru,
number 1,
which is the fight we were talking about with Takeru and Juzo.
Oh, I fucking love that fight.
It's so good. It's the cliffside one, right?
Yeah, it's the one where they meet on the beach, they say absolutely nothing, and fight to the death.
Samurai. Ha!
Like, okay, noises are okay, right? You can make
fine.
grunts and shit and be like, "Ow, this hurts," but you don't have to like
I will
fucking
destroy you and
verbally
everything
suck
you
each
love.
other off.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm gonna, like, do you know how long I've waited for this fight? It's like, we haven't even started fighting yet. It's like, And then, like, they throw in a pun or something. It's like, what the fuck kind of fight is this?
I don't know. It was so weird. So I'm glad.
Guess you
that
got
it
the
was.
point. And it's like, I hate you. I hate
It
you
was
more than
so
I've
much
ever
well
hated
done
anyone.
in Shinkenger, and I hate the samurai version. Moving on, because I don't want to be any more mad than I already am.
The switched lives. Chiaki and Kotoha go to pick up some sushi from Genta and tell him that Takeru is healing well from his fight against Juzo. The Ayakashi Abekonbe, who transfers people's souls into... Oh, it's the fish one.
This is part of the fish one. Yeah, this is the first part of the fish one. So they switch everyone into different objects. Mako is turned into a fan. Takeru is turned
Genta is
into the waving cat.
Maneki Neko.
The Kamani, yeah, thank you. Which by the way, great allusion to Asian culture, because every Asian, no matter if you're Asian American, Asian Australian, Asian whatever, you've seen a Kaneki Neko. Like, you've seen it in shops everywhere. You see it at festivals.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere. All right, you cannot escape it.
And then Genta is turned into
Genta is turned
sushi.
into sushi, which was pretty
And he's
fucking
almost
funny.
eaten, which is the big part of this.
Yeah, this is a big part.
And
And then
even after they kill the monster, he's still traumatized.
yeah,
which
he has a
is
phobia
adapted
of
basically
sushi.
beat for beat in the other thing.
Yeah, except Antonio's turned into fish, which I'm like, okay, I guess it's
the
all right.
same.
All right,
basic
episode, same
thing.
basic shit. He's almost eaten by a cat. But yeah, and the biggest change, which I know they couldn't do, but it's so funny. So Kevin in Samurai is turned into a music box ballerina, which is it's funny enough for Power Rangers. I'm like, okay, I that's kind of funny. And like Mike takes a picture of it or a video of it or something, and like that in Shinkenger, Chiaki takes a picture of Takeru like this, which makes a bit more sense, like of as a cat, and has like the marker on him as well, which is pretty fucking funny. But Ryunosuke is turned into a statue that is pissing. And I wrote in my notes, talk about rocking with your cock out, Ryunosuke. Because as soon as he turns into this statue, this is what he does. He just goes... and he assumes the stance. But this is in front of Kotaha, by the way.
Oh my
Which is
god.
fucking funny. And he has to be moved into the bathroom because he has his cock out. So and his face is just like...
I think just in general, shit like this is why I love Sentai, because they take themselves seriously when they need to, and that's just the thing.
Yeah, but they're not afraid from like the kind of cruder humor, which I'm like,
Yeah,
thank you for that.
As like, it definitely is like a contrast between like with the very serious nature of samurai living and fighting and values, and then you just have this happen. And
it's hilarious. But yeah, episode 28, which is it ties in with that previous one of phobia.
The Lantern Samurai.
This was basically Fear Factor for Shinkenger, which I was like, yeah, okay, cool. They're facing off their fears, and this is where the Lantern comes in, because Genta is like,
replace him.
Yeah, because Genta's like, I can't be a samurai anymore because I literally, my sushi changer reminds me too much of that time I was almost eaten as a piece of sushi. Which I'm like, that's fucking funny, but yeah, that's when
We'll try, because like then he's like, I think it's good too, because he's like, I'm gonna make this so that you're not fucked, that I'm not here anymore.
Exactly, which is
where in
so
the other one
noble
he's
of
just
him.
given the Lantern Zord to
because apparently
fix.
this thing was in the generation of the samurai or something, which I'm like, okay.
Were they just keeping that in the fucking basement? Like, what?
I don't fucking know. It was really weird. But no, like, the next episode is a focus episode of the Lantern of all the Daigoyo. I believe that's what
it's weird that it gets it. Yeah, it's weird that it gets its own
focus
episode.
It has some spunk. I love it. It also calls Genta Oyabun, which is fucking funny. Like, Oyabun!
I love Daigoyo because he has a
Daigoyo is so
personality and
funny.
he's not boring as
Yeah.
hell.
For those that don't know, Oyabun is traditionally the name for the Yakuza leader. So it's like chief, the Oyabun.
Chief, boss man, stuff
Yeah,
like
chief,
that.
boss man, yeah. So now that you brought up boss, I like to think that that if this was adapted in Australia, it'd be like, "What's up, boss? All right, yeah. All right, you got it, boss. All good, chief.
Oh my
Fucking
god,
got it. You
please.
got it. Fucking got it, bruv."
I'm sad that they didn't adapt Daigoyo to have a personality because then I would have the most Australian lantern ever.
You got it, mate. All good, mate.
I
um,
need this in my life. Can we redub? Can we dub
I
Shinkenger?
want to.
Just
I want to dub it just
I
for
think
that.
God,
Yeah. For those that don't know, by the
fucking
way,
lantern.
if you're coming from Chris, I am Australian. I just don't sound like it most of the time. But when I turn on my Australian, I turn it on. So
Ah man.
yeah, oh yeah, mate. All good shape.
I've been watching H2O Just Add Water unironically, and it's the most
Clear,
Australian thing. Clear!
clear. No.
Oh my god!
I have a whole thing with a friend who just loves a meme of H2O just at water. It's fucking funny. But anyways,
Clear!
clear. All right. That
Anyway,
aside,
so getting past the Lantern episode,
we're going to
we have
episode
the
30, which is
Manipulated Academy.
Kotoha. This is a Kotoha episode, I'm pretty sure. What's the plot?
While fighting I guess they're called Nanashi, but the
Yep.
Shinkenders are astonished to find high school students interfering with their battle.
Oh my god, I remember
Afterwards,
this.
Takeru notices that all the students attend the same private academy. He sends Ryunosuke and Kotoha posing as teachers and student respectively, and Daigoyo to the school to investigate possible Gedoshu activity. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, pretty standard episode, but I really liked it because Kotoha gets to make a friend, a high school friend, which is pretty fun. She gets to actually, I like it because she actually gets to like live like a high school student again, which is like pretty cool. Because I feel
Also,
like
I
she
just
has that
love that
innocence.
the power up, the Inromaru, can just be given to random people.
I
Not
really
random people,
like
but
that.
amongst the team.
Yeah,
It's not like a
amongst the
red
team.
specific thing.
Yeah, which I like, and I'm glad they put that in Super Samurai as well. But I think they put it up less frequently, which is kind of sucks.
I don't think. I think in Super Samurai, it's either pink or yellow who never gets to wear it.
Yeah, which is pretty unfortunate because it's like, come on, girls, get it done.
They really do. I'm pretty sure half of these episodes, they're the ones who solve everything.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, like in a few episodes, we're gonna see a Mako episode, which I really enjoy, and also it really fucks me up because for various reasons. But anyways,
See,
episode
we
31,
have
I said pretty standard episode, no extra thoughts on it.
yeah,
I,
Kyoryu Origami. That's where they get the Kyoryu disc, and he
yep,
gets Hyper Shinken Red.
that's right. Yeah,
And that's about all that happens there.
yep.
32, the Ushi Origami. That's when they
Ushi
get
Origami. That one is a
Bullzord.
whole arc. It's about 2 or 3 episodes long. But
Yeah.
this arc is great because it shows us that there are other Mojikata users other than the Shinkengers, and it shows that there is
Yeah,
a whole
it's not like it's
hierarchical
specific to
system
them.
of Mojikata, which I think is great.
I think a really good aspect of this is that there's like a distinction between each clan's like specified Mojikata. Because I remember later on, we'll get to it, but there is a character that shows up and he's like, this is my family's like specific specialization of Mojikata, and like I want you to
Mm.
do a big thing. And I'm like, that's great.
Yeah, it's fucking good shit.
Anyway, the
yeah.
episode 32 and 33 are two. We got Ushi Origami and the Great Bull King, where they get the Bullzord.
Yep, pretty much. I moved on to episode 34 in my notes. So that's the Mako episode where her father comes. And
Oh,
yeah, and her father is like, "Come to Hawaii with us. You can quit being a samurai. You can quit being a Shinkenger."
I could have been in
Which
Shinkenger.
yeah, which made me fucking mad. You know why? Because one, the father doesn't understand his daughter's needs and responsibilities as a samurai. And I said verbatim, you love to hear these notes. Dot point. Number 1, is her father a fucking idiot? Number 2, I also hate her father's manipulation of trying to get her to quit her samurai duties by bringing up her mother, because her mother was the previous Shinken Pink, so she should have known the risks. Um, and then apparently her mother shows up at the end, which I said, well, fuck, okay, her mother is actually here in Japan. Then why is she trying to take Mako away when she knows that Shinken she can't let her team down? That was the very stupidest thing I've ever seen in Shinkenger. I still think it's a great episode, but I just don't enjoy it because, like, as a former Shinken, you should have known that your daughter is doing this and she can't quit. It makes no sense.
Yeah, that seems like a whole.
Because her mother's paralyzed, but still, it's like, but if she trained like this by because she got trained by her grandmother, then who was also Shinken, like, you should know that she's very dedicated to this and she cannot quit. She's already gone through the training. She is already, if you really wanted her to not do this, you should have fucking brought her with you to Hawaii, which, by the way, they live in Hawaii now. So Chris, if you ever see a former Shinken around in a wheelchair, fucking say hi to her.
Good to know. Perfect. I will.
I don't know
become
what
the next,
island, but yeah,
just one of them.
just one of them.
Probably. Then we have the 11 origami, the complete combination, which we get the Zengatai.
This is a Ryunosuke focus. This is on his time as a kabuki, which I was talking about earlier. Which
I also love the fact that he had like this. he pulls out like fucking pieces of paper with like his little sketch of like this big ass robot.
Yeah,
It's the funniest thing to me.
But yeah, no. I love
Kaikai
this episode.
Shinken-o.
I love this episode for the kabuki thing because, like, it shows how intense Kabuki can be as well, because his friend is like, no, he's fucking dead to me. He quit on us. Like, I need to do this performance. He's dead to me. Ryunosuke, Ikenami Ryunosuke does not exist in my world. But then by the end, he's like, he gets respect for Ryunosuke, and he's like, you have a duty to do. I don't exactly know what it is, but come back to us eventually. Which is like, it's a great thing to be like, yeah, no. Samurai is not forever. Sometimes samurai have their own shit to do after their duties are done.
I ignore that. I samurai. Sometimes samurai is not forever, which is weird because that's the battle cry in Samurai.
Which I'm like, I kind of want to put that in the description now for the VOD.
Sometimes samurai is not forever. I love the, like, it's just like, Rangers together, samurai for like the next 2 weeks. Ha!
Oh god, that's the best joke I've ever come up with.
I think for me it's that one and the one we made up for that review that needs to happen of just nobody will understand that, but like until it actually comes out. But it's funny. It's funny, damn it.
Got it. It is really funny. But anyways, episode 36. This is the Gold Curry. The Gold Curry episode, which I would really liked. I brought it up earlier, but it's like, I think it's great because sometimes it's like you're really good at one thing, but your passion is in another. You know what I mean? Because his sushi is like low-key mediocre. His curry looked fucking great. It was
A+.
Making me hungry right now thinking about that curry. But yeah, no, like, it's very relatable because we often might be forced into adjusting our dream, even if it's not something we didn't necessarily imagine. And I like how he breaks away from that and is like, no, I want to do gold sushi. No, I don't want to switch to curry. And yeah, I thought it was a great episode. I'm not sure if there's anything like that in Samurai. I wouldn't imagine there being because fisherman is a very one-way plot point. Being a fisherman,
yeah, I think
you have nothing else to do.
I think a really big appeal of Shinkenger is like they're very simple stories with really interesting connotations when you think about it just a little bit longer.
And really great morals to teach kids.
Yeah, their lessons and morals are complex but not hard to understand. Where
they're not hard to understand for the kids, but they're also like very great to go into for adults, which I'm like,
yeah, there's value there for like an adult watching.
Exactly.
I think also this is the episode where we get Super Shinken Yellow, and I think that's great.
This is a part Kotoha episode, which I really enjoy because she influenced Genta to go into curry, and she's like, look, I'm sorry for the inconvenience this caused because it's so fucking popular now, and even she's like, I'm tasting your sushi and it tastes like shit, man. Like it tastes too much like curry. I'm like, oh man, and she tries to do it in the nicest way possible, which is great for her character because it's like it shows a lot more of her, and it shows her caring nature for her team, which is great. I thought it was excellent. Yeah.
Episode 37, the epic glue battle.
They
Don't
adapted
know
this
what
to
that
Samurai.
means.
Yeah, so
Oh yeah, Shinken Blue and Shinken Green get their hands glued together.
so they need to work together because usually they're in sync and then they're not all of a sudden. Which I
Hmm.
thought it was great because it breaks up like it disrupts their dynamic because it's like, oh, we're actually working together as a team. We've learned to work together, and then all of a sudden we're tied together. It's like, well, fuck, now you're like dragging me down, and then they learn to work together again. In Samurai, I think they've always had a very weird dynamic where they're not working together at all, and this was supposed to be their for lack of a better term, glued together episode, like to become the glue of the team, which I think is it's okay. Wasn't the best, but it
I
was
love
okay.
that.
Yeah. Episode 38, I said where Samurai fails, Shinkenger excels. This is actually Ji-chan's focus episode.
Yeah.
Because
Showdown with the Rifle Squad.
it shows that he had a previous life to the Shiba clan. And actually has a family. Where G is just some random fuck that decides to raise Jaden for no apparent reason. And there's no actual depth to his character, and he apparently just has I just realized this. He's the Alfred to Jaden.
Fuck.
But he's not even as good as Alfred.
Nope. He's a little bitch.
He's a little
Anyway.
bitch. Anyways,
So-
episode 39, they combined two episodes, because they took place. So they combined 38 and 39 in fight footage in Samurai, because it's
Mhm.
literally the same quarry in Cliffside. I don't know why they put these two episodes together in Shinkenger, but it's literally the same quarry, even though they're
39,
supposed to
a
take
very
place on
urgent-
different islands and stuff. It's
They
so
only
funny.
have the one quarry.
Yeah, they only had the one quarry apparently, and they used it for an island like that was anywhere near in 38. So that was funny that I thought it was creative that Samurai put those two together because it makes a lot of sense. But as a result, they have like two battles in that quarry, like in the same episode, which kind of sucks. Anyways, yeah, it's stupid because they took away G episode, and I hate it. Episode 40. Sorry, we're just gonna steamroll through this because we're about 10 episodes off.
Yeah, the
Daiyu focus
general head
episode.
to the front.
Yeah, so it's a Daiyu focus episode.
That's
I found
really about
out
it.
Daiyu is voiced by Romy Park, who did
Romy-
Edward Elric in Full Metal Alchemist. Romy Park. She,
Huh.
mwah, mwah. She's an icon. She voiced Edward Elric. And I can't believe it.
Huh. I think she also played her physically.
Yes, she did. She did. Which
Huh.
is, again, mwah, mwah. Apparently it
Good
wasn't a
on
Daiyu
you, Romy
focus, but
Park.
still. Mwah, mwah.
While this occurs, Dokoku has started demand.
Dokoku
Daiyu
is
Shamisen.
I'm pretty sure Dokoku is the equivalent to Xandrid, right? Am I
I
remembering
think
that right?
so.
Yeah.
I
Dokoku.
think Shitari is the fucking one with the fan.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. You're right,
Shamisen
you're right.
cries, mixed with yeah, it's like a Daiyu somewhat focused episode.
Yeah, dope.
For some reason, Daiyu becomes like a big part of
Dai is a very big part of the plot.
both, technically.
Of both, yeah. Episode 41, Kotaha focus. I literally said in all caps, Kotaha focus alert, Kotaha focus, this is not a drill. I love her so much. Samurai doesn't do this episode justice, but basically it's literally her getting a letter from her sister who was meant to be Shinken Yellow, and she doubts herself
Mm.
because she's like, oh, like she's just thinking like, oh, I'm the replacement, like, bruh, like I'm not meant to
Ah.
be here. I'm just not as good. Which I'm like, no, Kotaha, I love you. You're doing so well, honey. You're doing so good as the Shinken Yellow. And Samurai failed in this aspect because I feel like it made very little sense to me. I don't know,
Samurai
it just
fails in every aspect.
it didn't hit as hard. I'm just like, oh, I hate it.
I think it's just because they don't have the guts to go as far as they need to with certain character things. Because this one is like,
Mm.
oh, I'm just, like I'm just not good enough. Like I'm fucking. I don't know why I'm doing this voice. It's like I'm not good enough because of like personal reasons. I got bullied, so like
Yeah.
whatever. I'm just kind of average at this. The other one, it's like I am literally only here because the person they actually wanted can't be.
Yeah,
And like
and
every day I'm here is like holding them back because I'm not like the
and
best.
you know what? It's very Asian sensibility as well because
Mm.
she keeps saying, "My family says I'm not as good as everybody else. I'm not. The only thing I know how to do is to play the flute and swing. That's all I know how to do." And so that's why I'm here because because my sister couldn't do this, so I have to fill in for her. I think that's such a very Asian sensibility thing because we're all told every single fucking time, that and I think this is also very like in Japanese culture as well. Like we don't and in Vietnamese for my culture as well. We don't hold back any punches when you're talking to your family, unless it's something you do with emotions, which is very big. And for Kotaha, like her getting essentially like it feels like from what we hear, it's like she gets punched down a lot, um,
Mm.
by her own family, which is like that hits different. Like mm. Whereas with Emily, she's a country bumpkin that doesn't even have an accent. Um, which, yeah, because she was meant to be from the country, like the small country, and then she's in this, but she doesn't have a country accent. And it's supposed to be the same thing with Kotaha, but she actually has like a different dialect, which makes it a lot more clear. Because in the sub, like that I watch, she actually frequently uses like it's translated as y'all, but it's because it's a more crude way of saying everyone, like in Japanese.
Mm.
So it's like, oh, okay, cool. She's actually quite different. Like she's not the typical samurai. She's still kind of well spoken and reserved, but she is different because she's like I don't know if it's a Kansai accent or something like that, but it's different.
Something like that. I
It's a
think
it's a
overall, I
different
think yeah,
dialect.
it's those small details that make or break the character
Yeah.
within the series. Because the other one, it's like Emily doesn't act or exist differently than any of the other characters.
She could be
Get
the same
past
thing.
the
She could be the
She
same thing as
literally
Mia.
is indistinguishable from Mia most of the time.
Literally, I can't tell the difference between them, which is very unfortunate. Because
42
they
and
both look
43
very
are
good.
plot, so we're gonna just head to the one that I've been
Yeah.
waiting to get to, the 18th head of the Shiba house,
Yes.
where he gets
Finally. I don't know if I'm
fucking.
gonna skip through this for the VOD or not, but we're just gonna talk about Kaoru / Lauren. Okay, so we have so many
Yes, I
opinions
think
on
that's this
this.
episode.
It
It
is. It
might
is. It is.
be the one
44.
later on. 44, 18th head of yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there it is. Okay, so they fight Ayakashi, and then not Jaden. Fuck, Takeru is injured really badly, which though luckily we learn who the real head of the Shiba house is. It's his older sister.
No, it's not his
No, no,
older
no, no, no.
sister.
Sorry, that's in the other one. Fuck.
That's in
It's
Samurai.
he's not related to her
He's not
whatsoever.
related.
It's
Yeah.
I remember now.
Kaoru Shiba.
Shiba Kaoru.
Yeah. So Shiba Kaoru. She is very young, like extremely young. She's like 7.
She's like younger than Takeru, I think.
Yeah, she's 17. And I'm like she is the head of the Shiba household and she's been hidden away. Takeru has been a decoy or a shadow warrior.
Kagemusha, I think.
Kage
Something like
Musha.
that.
Yeah, something like that. So that's what
Yeah.
he's referred to. And he's only seen as a decoy. So like once Kaoru comes around, her retainer is like, "Get the fuck out! You're not a samurai. Get out. You're just a decoy. Get out of here." Um, which is it's such a good episode, and it crosses over into the next episode as well. Like her plot is so good, and it makes so much sense that the team is confused and angry when Takeru is a decoy because it's like, you're our lord. What do you mean? Like you're our lord. You're not a decoy. Um, and
This is another thing that doesn't work when it's adapted in America, because that loyalty is not really given the same connotations it should be.
mm-hmm.
Because this one, it's like, we swore fealty to you, and we have been fighting with you, and now this person is like here, and while we have that responsibility to fight with her, and we don't really want to,
Yeah,
because like
exactly.
there's no real trust there. And the other one, it's just like, we like you, Jaden. You're our friend.
Well, here's the
There's
thing.
no
Let's talk
difference between you and the other fucking
yeah.
stupid piece of shit.
Let's talk about Samurai. So in Samurai, it's Jaden's older sister.
Which doesn't
Which
make any sense.
it doesn't make sense. And do we remember why if we talk about fucking Emily's arc? Because she had to replace a Shinken Yellow. Sorry, not Shinken Yellow, Ranger Yellow Ranger, because she was the younger one and she had the responsibility. Why the fuck does Jaden then have to leave because Lauren's back? It makes no fucking sense. You have two Red Ranger powers and you can't because essentially Jaden
Get a
just
whole
leaves.
fucking team of Red Rangers and beat the shit out of that guy. Like, what the fuck is this?
It makes no sense because he's like, oh, you have to listen to Lauren now, because they were, by the way, this team was fully accepting to accept Lauren into the team, like at 100%. They were like, welcome to the team, we fucking love you. While Jaden was still around, right? And I think Lauren is just also just way too
She's
fucking
just
nice.
nice.
She's
She
just
exists.
She should have been the original Red Ranger and then have this brooding ass boy Jaden come in, and it would have made the arc so much better because she's like, she melds with the team. She melds with the team so much better. She's just extremely nice. She might have been away for a while because she's trying to
She
perfect
had
the
to
ceiling
learn
power.
it without being attacked every day.
Yeah, the ceiling script, but yeah, it makes sense that she's not as social, right? But yeah, like I love Lauren as a character. I think she's one of the highlights in terms of her personality. I thought she was great. And then all of a sudden, bitch boy Jaden decides to leave because he's like, there can't be two rangers. There can't be two leaders. I need to leave. And it's like, listen to your sister. You fucking
One of those
idiot.
okay, like, even that as a reason doesn't make sense, because he's like, there can't be two leaders. It's like, cool, step down then. Fucking fight as not the leader.
Yeah, literally. It's like, yeah, sure, you won't get the black box, so you can't be Super Samurai anymore. But it's
That's
like,
not even a thing.
it's
People just have it.
yeah, and then yeah, it's exactly. But it's like, yeah, you won't have your full arsenal as a Red Ranger because that's gonna be given to Lauren, right? Like, it's just a thing. But it's like you can still fight as a retainer. Like, just I don't understand what the big problem is. I don't know why you can't fight, because you still want to fight. You fight with Decker, like.
You literally go outside, fight with Decker until sundown, and then you're like, I learned my lesson. It's like, what the fuck?
And this is meant to be our end game, by the way, guys. This is the end game, and it's so disappointing in Samurai.
It is so dumb.
Yeah, it's like, and yeah,
We'll
like
get to
Lauren,
that after we're done discussing the
yeah,
finer
just
details of Lauren versus Kaoru.
just
'Cause
Lauren is so nice. Like, she likes Mia's cooking, for example. I'm like, yo,
that
that's
is its
a
own
fucking
thing.
yeah, that's a fucking struggle to like Mia's cooking from what I saw. But it's like there's so much development for her that was crammed into one episode that I'm like, how are you a better character than Jane, who's had a season and a half to do that?
Like 50 fucking episodes of bullshit. It's one of
It-
those things, right? Where you understand why it works in Japan, because Kaoru is like much colder than Jaden ever, or not Jaden, Takeru ever was. Like, they started warming up, and that kind of adds on to this idea of like, we really don't know where we stand with her. She's the actual Lord, so like we have to default back to how things were in episode 1.
Exactly,
And then on top of that, they tell him to leave. And they're like, we're taking all your shit. You're no longer like, you're nothing to us. Leave.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then,
You're nothing.
that
You're
leads
ashes.
into another thing.
Yeah, it will lead into another thing when we talk about it. But firstly, let's we'll move on from that. Takeru v Juzo.
Oh,
Ray
part
Ranger
2,
versus Decker.
the best fucking fight.
The best
Again.
fight.
I
And
don't know which one I like better, the first
No.
time they fight or the second, because the second one
don't
has
know.
better stakes, but the first one has
The
like,
first one is just
just-
grounded. It's like,
yeah,
yo,
it seems
it's,
better because this one is like they're
but this one is
Sorry,
still so good.
this one feels like more like a no holds barred, like we have nothing left to lose, which I think this is the perfect place to put this fight because Takeru has nothing except for
nothing
his
left.
ability to fight.
He literally
And that
says,
like draws
I
those
have
really
nothing
good
left.
parallels.
He's literally
Yeah,
like,
and
I have
then they
nothing
fight.
left. But Jaden is like, yeah, I'll fight you. I have a sister and everything, but I'll fight you.
I have a
Like-
sister, I have friends, I have G.
Yeah.
I have I still have my fucking samuraizer.
Yeah, which is like, that's
I mean,
weird.
I think he still holds on to that in the other one, but like,
Oh no, he does. But I think only for
because
that
that
fight.
belongs to him.
Yeah, but then when he is fighting alongside the Shinkengers plus Kaoru, he doesn't do it because out of respect for Kaoru, he doesn't transform. Which I like that he stays civilian afterwards for a little bit. But anyways, yeah. Next episode, where they save Takeru from Juzo. Their loyalty is fucking unparalleled, and I love it. It's great. Also shows development for Kaoru because she's literally like, look, I understand that that this is a blind side to you guys, and I appreciate what Takeru has done in order to keep me safe. I understand that, but for now, please, I beg of you, fight with me. And I'm like, that is a great way for Kaoru's character because she's still respectful, you know? She's not like, no, get out, peasant, go, leave. You need to follow me. That's her retainer. She's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
understanding. Like, I get
She's
it.
such a great character.
She's such a great character, and it's so
And
good.
she shows up in Gokaiger and
She does, and I love her.
A+ shit.
That's also the next episode is also where she tries to do sealing power, but then Dayu sacrifices herself in order to
Yeah.
give Dokoku more power, like a human element to him. So then the sealing power doesn't work.
I think so.
Yeah. So that's
That
when
might be a little bit later on. No, actually that is
episode 48. Again, we're in Endgame. This is second last episode.
Yeah, so she tries to do the thing, it doesn't work. And now they have the Sanzu River overflowing into the rest of the stuff is just kind of plot. But
Yeah.
I just need to say that I fucking love those last transformations in the season where they're all damaged and they have like they do it in civilian mode and then it transforms and it's so fucking good.
I know, it's so I love it so much. Also, adoption plot. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
The way that they get around they make Takeru a lord by having Kaoru adopt him, and it's the funniest thing.
It's in Japan, adoption is a lot more different than America. I see a lot of people talking about that where they're like, how the fucking a 17-year-old adopts, someone older than him? And even her retainer is like, you can't, like, he's fucking older than you. But it's because it's like adoption in Japan is literally like, look, I have no heirs. I want to pass this down to you. So Takeru, you're officially my son, essentially. You're in my family. You can be the 19th head of the Shiba clan. Which I'm like...
That is the best.
And then in America, they don't do
watching it
anything
as
with
somebody
that.
who like has no cultural context for this, watching that happen was the best part of the fucking show.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, he's not allowed to be here. It's like, how dare you talk to my son like that? And I'm like, oh my god.
Don't ever talk to me or my son again.
But yeah, anyway, so this also I mentioned earlier, the retainer is the one who's Mojikata is like cloning, I guess. Or like
Something
he
like
doubles
that,
his strength and he ends up having 2 fucking Reka
Yes.
Daizantos, and it's the funniest fucking thing where he just has these
It's-
big ass swords. It's like
It's so good, yeah. It's so good. But yeah, I like that, Mojikata is not exclusive to the Shinkengers. Whereas in Samurai, it felt like the only ones who could do symbol power were the Samurai. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. No one else did it. No, not even G. G doesn't even do it.
he doesn't do shit.
He doesn't do shit. No. Mm-mm.
He has a motorcycle. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. That's his whole character. And that's only because G-chan had a motorcycle.
Which was pretty fucking badass.
It was pretty badass. Final
The thing is,
episode.
the actor I think is really cool. It's just
Oh,
he was
yeah.
given nothing to work with.
He was given nothing. But anyways, final episode. Again, the final henshin there. Oh,
Hmm. I think that one. I swear to God, from fucking Ghost Sager. Actually, you know what? I'll go a little bit further back. From like Hurricaneger to current day, last transformations have been so fucking good.
they have been so good. Like, like
Give me
Go
that
On, you
battle
did it pretty
damage.
good. Like,
Mm.
oh god, you went all the way back to Hurricaneger. So yeah, Abba Ranger has been good. Deca Ranger, I don't remember as much, like their final henshin. But
All I say is I just really like Hurricaneger's transformation in general because they always do the thing.
yeah. But I was but on Final Henshins, Machi Ranger is pretty good as well. I love Machi Rangers. And you haven't even seen the show, but like you know that it's great, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just
And then you got I think Q Ranger. That one was fun.
oh yeah, yeah.
'Cause you
I
have
mean when you have
all of
9
them
Rangers,
shouting as loud as they can,
pretty much.
just
Stop
watching them go through
changing!
the whole thing.
Ah!
Love- ah!
Ha! I was destined to be a Power Ranger for me to go ha in a show.
Please, I would pay so much money to watch you dub any of those scenes. Just
Oh man.
quick, we have to transform.
I should do it for TikTok. Oh god.
Please do.
I should.
Go
Anyways,
go samurai.
go samurai. Ha! It's fucking
You
Toad
sound like
voice.
fucking you sound like fucking Toad.
Wait, hang on, let me. Samuraiser! Go samurai! Ha 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 ha! Samurai
Jesus
Ranger
Christ.
ready! Rangers together! Samurai forever! Rangers together! Samurai forever!
Why are we like this?
I don't know.
The first episode we've ever done of this, and this is where we go.
It's so good though. But yeah. Final thoughts essentially on Samurai. TLDR. Let's go through this.
On samurai?
On the whole thing in general, Shinkenger in general. Actually, let's go with Shinkenger. Again,
Shinkenger top tier series. Samurai trash, but they had some redeeming qualities. After going through the whole thing with you,
Yeah.
there are parts of it that aren't terrible.
but it's
but
mostly because
it's
it pulls from Shinkenger.
Yeah, it's
so,
just because they literally take the exact same storyline and they're like,
yeah. It's
Look
like
what we
sometimes they do
did!
it okay. Sometimes they do a shit. You know, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's not bad, but it's okay.
I still think Samurai is god awful, but you know,
Oh,
if
yeah.
somebody would be like, watch this drunk, then yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'd have to be drunk to watch this again. But yeah, oh god. Yeah, it's essentially it's a Shinkenger 4 Kids dub. Let's be real.
Oh god.
It's just Shinkenger 4 Kids dub.
Oh, it
Everything
is.
about it butchers everything about Japanese culture. You might as well have censored the kanji, just like 4 Kids, because like basically has nothing to do with Japan. Except for being samurai. They literally took a
They
quick
could have
look
been
at
drawing fucking emojis and it would have had the same impact.
now I want a version of samurai with emojis, bro. That's
Go
fucking funny.
Samurai!
Go
Smiley face!
samurais!
Symbol
Kissy
power!
heart!
Giant shit!
Emoji power! Ha!
Oh god.
But yeah, no, they took a quick look at Shinkenger and they didn't understand any Japanese nuance. Essentially. And yeah, I even said here in my final notes, I said it's essentially tell me you know nothing about Japan without telling me you know nothing about Japan. Richard Brown must have decided to direct this edition of Shinkenger because Samurai is hot garbage. I don't care how much nostalgia kids who are like 6 or 7 years younger than us have. Because when you're young, you don't have a fucking filter to understand why shows and other media are terrible. But I wrote that before I knew that you thought that this was a good season before you actually watched Shinkenger. So
It's one
you
of
know,
those things where like if it exists in a vacuum, you just kind of have to accept it as it is. But when you realize there's something it's adapting that's significantly better, you realize just where the shortcomings are.
yeah, it's.
I wouldn't really say that I even thought it was good. I think they were just I liked the idea of samurai rangers, but I only later on, as you learn and oh, this is what cultural appropriation and whitewashing looks like. You're like, oh yeah, there weren't any Asians in that show or like
Yep.
Japanese people. There was one Chinese girl parading around as a Japanese girl.
Yep.
Don't know how I feel about that one. There's
I still don't know how to feel
mostly
about it.
white dudes.
Mostly white.
There's a
Yep.
Filipino.
Oh, and they had to add in Vulcan skulls.
Oh yeah, we completely forgot about them. Vulcan
They were
Spike.
kind of just there. Yeah, Spike, sorry. Yeah. That's another thing that they
Skull's
decided to bring
son.
back for Neo Saban. They brought back Bulk and Skull, except instead of Skull, it was Spike, who is Skull's kid.
I
I
don't want to believe that anybody had sex with Skull.
I know. But like I don't understand it for a few reasons. I understand that this was meant to be a reboot of the Power Rangers series by Saban. And that's why they had the theme song, which was, Go Go Power Rangers, which you heard it in the OP, but like it was bomb, right? Like it was actually okay. Even
It's
if
good.
it was even if it was the start of the Rangers Together something forever, like Rangers Forever, I hate that motif so much.
Rangers
Um
Forever, Mega Force Forever, or some
yeah, it's
shit that
something
they do
no
later.
Rangers
Okay,
Together,
like they innovated a
Mega
little bit
Force
from Mega,
all
but
together.
we'll get. I fucking hate this.
It's so
But
bad.
like,
For
what's
Samurai,
funny?
it made a bit more sense, but no, I don't
What's
know why
funny
they
is the
kept it.
Mega Force theme song starts like it's gonna be something good, and then it just goes straight into the
It goes
fucking remix
straight
again.
back.
And
It
I
goes
I
straight
was
back.
so mad the first time I heard it because I'm like, oh, it's like it's kind of doing this like it gave me vibes of like Lightspeed Rescue. It's like, Power
Yeah.
Rangers, Lightspeed, and then it like gets into this really
Been
cool thing, and then it's
rescued.
like, you want to hear the samurai theme again? I'm like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is happening?
Let's talk about how it's so fucking stupid how they call out their names in the intro.
We know who these fucking people are. Stop.
I can see their name right there. You don't need to shout. Mia, Jaden, Kevin, Mike. Shut the fuck up. Shut
I think
up.
the funniest thing for me in that one was Antonio. He does it with like just the
Antonio.
smallest hintings of gay. Antonio. I'm like, what was that?
Antonio!
Like, good
It's so
on you, man. I don't know what's happening anymore.
It's so true though. The smallest.
I
hint
choose
of
to believe that
PK.
Antonio and Kevin started dating after the series.
Absolutely, that's my only headcanon to make it more bearable.
This is their
'Cause-
love story.
God, yeah, it is their love story. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard for when
Antonio.
it's hard adapting a season that like literally in the opening it says Japanese spirits. I'm like, our Japanese spirit. I'm like, there's nothing Japanese about this.
I'm pretty sure Power Rangers might be the whitest thing in existence.
I wouldn't even put Power Ranger Samurai near a piece of sushi because it would just rot it so fast. Like, and they've redubbed Samurai in Japanese. I don't know why.
What?
Like,
Why? What?
I don't know. It's the same fucking
This is
show.
Game of Telephone? Like, what the fuck?
It's the same fucking. Well, they always like dub Power Rangers in Japanese. And sometimes it's warranted because they have great plot lines in Power Rangers like SPD.
In certain
In certain seasons like SPD or the original Mighty
Time
Morphin.
Force.
They're and Time Force. Yeah, probably Time Force. I don't remember if they dubbed it, but like there's a bunch of shows that like they explicitly like are dubbing it because it's the same but not really, which I think is the Japanese appeal. In Samurai, it's literally just the same fucking show, so don't know why you'd ever want to dub it.
It's just playing a game of. If they readapt that series into another season of Samurai, I'm gonna be so fucking happy because it's gonna be terrible.
It's gonna be so fucking funny.
The name, like fucking G's name, just becomes more and more shitty as time goes on. It's like, oh, is that Jai? Oh, is that Gina? It's like, Master Vagina, come here. It's like, what the fuck's happening?
Oh, I can't. Oh, speaking of butchering of Japanese names, when we talk about Ghost Sager and Mega Force,
God, fuck.
can't wait.
That
for that
one had like the. I'm not gonna say that Ghost Sager was like high art, but at least it wasn't Mega Force.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that. We're gonna be talking about that in the next episode. But anyways, again, final thoughts
I
on
need to watch
Shinkenger
that.
and Samurai. Please,
Shinkenger, great. Samurai, terrible.
please go watch Shinkenger. Please,
Please,
just do it.
just do it.
Please
I
just do
beg
it.
of you.
Please,
If there was a god on this planet, just do it. Just
Just do
watch
it.
Samurai. Or
Just-
not
just
Samurai.
watch
Fuck! Don't watch Samurai!
Don't watch Samurai. That is the takeaway. Don't watch Samurai. Watch Shinkenger. The only Samurai you need to be watching is Samurai Sentai Shinkenger. Okay. All right. So the takeaway from this is sometimes Samurai is not forever. So
I don't really know what to do with that, but I agree.
anyways, I don't know when the next episode is gonna be. Maybe next week, week afterwards.
I haven't seen
it's
either
good.
of those series, so if
might-
you want, we could record our real-time thoughts as we watch it.
It could be, yeah. We'll probably do that, but we will be talking about it eventually in the second episode
In
of
further
this.
detail.
Yeah,
Okay.
in further detail, we're gonna be talking about Ghost Sager versus Power Rangers Megaforce. We're only gonna be doing the first season of Megaforce for that because when we talk about
The second
Gokaiger
season of
versus Super
Megaforce
Megaforce,
is just Gokaiger.
I cannot wait to roast the shit out of both seasons
Gokaiger's
in
my
two separate
favorite fucking
episodes.
series.
I get to do this in two separate episodes, Chris. Like I get to roast the same Andrew Gray fucking. We've said this in ideas for the show. If anyone has any animation experience out there, you see this little Jason in the corner. That's just a
This was a
placeholder for
placeholder.
now. We want a gif of us beating the shit out of Troy, aka Andrew Gray. We want a
We just
gif of us
beating the shit out of him,
as
please. He's a
Chibi
terrible
kicking the
person.
shit out of Troy. Like that, or being the shit out of out of Go Say Red / Go Kai Red. Same shit. If anyone has any animation experience out there, please
Just, you know,
let us know.
just
We want to hire you.
quick little gif, just
Let's-
curb
let's-
stomping him. It'd be
Could
great.
be us curb stomping him. Just it's 3 frames. That's all you need. We'll put it in the corner, right there.
Yeah,
right-
we'll
right-
put it
right
there.
in
We'll give you credit. You know, TokusatsuWu sponsored GIF.
Yes, exactly. I can't wait for that. But yeah, we will be ending it here. So thank you all so much for watching this episode of TokusatsuWu, our pilot episode. We'll see how things go. But we do really want to talk about this more. It's an unadulterated way of us getting our feelings out of a tokusatsu without having to edit it all. And I think that is a very beautiful thing because we don't edit shit. So
This is true.
we don't.
Man, those Shada Squad clips, those still are on my computer somewhere.
We're gonna edit it eventually, but yeah, I'm gonna be
Yay.
putting this up on YouTube as well. So if you're watching from YouTube, please go ahead and follow me at twitch.tv/Dinzie for more episodes eventually. Also, go ahead and follow Chris at twitch.tv/HamaSamaKun. He streams there frequently as well, alongside
Antonio.
his illustrious partner in crime. So yeah. Was that correct, or has things changed?
Oh, yeah, no, we broke up.
Shit, never mind. I'm cutting that out of the VOD.
Never mind.
Never mind. That is out of the VOD. That's fucking awkward. Anyways, bye
We'll
everybody.
dub
See you
over it.
later. We'll dub over it. Okay, everybody. See you later. Goodbye.
Illustrious partner, Antonio.
Okay, see you later, everybody. Have a good one. Actually, with 3 viewers in here, I might just quickly initiate a small raid. We don't need to do any sub things or whatever. But yeah, just go ahead and give some people some love. Let's see. I'm gonna put everyone over to Dens 1000 for Gartic Phone. Because I feel like that'd be a best way to end off and make shit not awkward. Okay, so everybody, we're gonna be rating. Have a good one, and hope to see you guys in the next episode. See you guys later. Bye bye.